Hello and welcome to a very special edition of Football is Nice with me, Russell Brand, Gareth Roy, produced by Jenny May Finn. We've got John Barnes on the show this week. We're back after the international break. We've got John Barnes on, who's written a book that's actually quite intense and serious and brilliant, so that's going to have to be a serious bit of conversation there. And we're also going to be reading some of your reviews. We've got our ongoing league where we predict scores. We've got Russell's football breakdown, as well as any other breakdowns. I'll be eating several breakfasts. Regular listeners will know that I like to have several breakfasts. I like that comment, Gal, that you sent that said, Russell's intermittent fasting and then he chooses to eat when there's a microphone and a camera in front of him. That was a pretty good comment. We should find out who that was, actually. It was on my phone, but I get a lot of messages from you. It'll be so deep up the spiral. Up the spiral.
Why are you eating out of what looks like a baking bowl today?
That ain't like a baking, but I like to eat all my food out of a bowl. I prefer it.
It is better, isn't it? It's more comforting.
Much more comforting to eat things out of a bowl. You know what you're doing. I'm always on the move. I've got pets. I've got cats. I've got kids. They're always on me.
Yeah.
You never know when you have to get up and at them.
Yeah, I think the only thing would be like a roast or something. Those kind of things reserved for plates. But everything else, I think you can stick in a bowl.
Because I suppose a roast, you want a flat surface, a flat plane, because you're going to go, I'll have a little bit of greens, a little bit of potato, and in my case, the substitute for meat, like some sort of vegan thing. Yeah. Get it all on one thing, a little bit of gravy. I'll take a piece of each. You don't go in and zonally take out each object.
I used to as a kid.
Zonally, working the potatoes, then I'm working the chicken.
Yeah, I was zonal marking the sausages.
Whereas I go, I'm across it all. It's an integrated, it's total roast, Dutch style. Every position can be covered.
Yeah. Well, you've always been ahead of your time, haven't you?
That's what people have always said to me. Some said I don't belong here at all. There is no acceptable time for this to be happening.
You were like the Jose Mourinho of the roast world, weren't you?
It is true. I am a special one. No, my family didn't even know what I was talking about at that point, because Jose Mourinho was interpreting for Bobby Robson probably at that time in Barcelona. So... It'd be quite good actually, because
Fry Up as well. I've just realised. Sorry to jump in.
Yeah, Fry Up's the other one. Yeah, it's a good one. I'll tell you, I bet a disproportionately high number of people have got this image in their mind. Pete Doherty eating a bin lid sized amount of breakfast. Yep. Have you ever seen that?
I have, yeah.
They really made a mark in the culture when Pete Doherty of erstwhile the Libertines had a breakfast at a place in Margate and he finished it, and it's like one of the things you don't have to pay for it if you eat it, which is an odd policy down the CAF.
And also one that I've never seen anywhere I've been. You always hear about it, but I've never been to one that's got it.
It's Margate. I think they're still doing it. Right. We'll go if you want. We'll go on a workout in a Beano.
We won't go.
Well, we'll never get around to it.
We don't get
And then when it's the morning, it's the market thing, you'll be thinking, oh God,
I don't want to do that. All the way there just for a breakfast?
For a breakfast, I feel sick already.
No, also...
Just to have a Pete Doherty bin lid sized breakfast, like a wok of breakfast. There's like 8 eggs, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Doherty, to his credit, he got it down him.
Yeah. Well...
You think he was probably related to where he was in his life at the moment? Yeah, fair enough. I mean, he has got a tendency towards addiction, and I love Pete Doherty and I respect him. And he's a big football fan, loves QPR. He used to write a fanzine when he was a little boy.
Did he?
Yeah, All Quiet on the Western Road.
Nice.
He's always been into it. And have you seen that bit of footage of him queuing up for Definitely Maybe or like an Oasis album, and he just gets interviewed before he's famous. He's like 12 or something, and he goes, well, I think that he's like Noel is like a Lacanian town crier, whereas he's sort of referencing philosophers and stuff. He's such a smart, clever, lovely lad. Bless him. Anyway, look, my point, I was saying something about that was football related before you honed in on breakfasts. I was talking about Bobby Robson. I was talking about Jose Mourinho. It would have been funny, Jose Mourinho translating for Bobby Robson. Like, imagine that, because Bobby Robson, that's a big character, lovely, fond of a malapropism. Like, what'd you say? Like, you said one of his things last week, we slipped on a banana pib or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And like Jose Mourinho would have had to have translated the
banana pib.
That doesn't exist in the world, so I can't translate that.
Yeah.
But some things are.
No wonder he went into management.
I'm learning Spanish, as you know, Gal, as well as magic and many other things.
Can I just say, look, I in no way want to take away from this, but I'm pretty sure you have been learning Spanish for about 15 years now. It's the whole time I've known you. There was at one point...
Hola!
There was an idea that...
Mi amigo!
You'd do a whole gig in Spanish. This was, mooted several years ago.
When I was going to be in a new Eddie Izzard.
That's right, yeah.
Right, he does one in French, I'm going to do one in Spanish. I'll show you, wizard. 15 years later, hola! It's a short and boring show. It was hardly force majeure of Eddie Izzard.
How's it coming on, the old Spanish?
Do you know that the Spanish have, like, in their language, I tried to sort of negotiate with the teacher for changing their grammar, and then I sort of realised it's like, no, she's not got that authority.
No,
and it's too late in the day, because they've got something like, say if you like, there's in their grammatical structure something like this one here, that one over there, and that one all the way over there.
Oh,
there's a grammatical construct to represent. I goes, what's the point in that? You could just say that one all the way over there. And she goes, yeah, I know that's how it is.
Yeah.
I'm not actually. I'm just teaching you this. I'm not in charge. We're not redesigning it now.
But isn't it like, what do they say, the Eskimos have 40 words for love? I mean, that's a cliche and almost certainly...
It's not love, it's snow.
Right. That's right. You're right.
Like, Eskimos aren't covered in love. Are they? They don't live in a land of love, the Eskimos.
No, you're right.
Go out. No, we can't.
Snow.
The love is too thick.
I've got two things mixed up there.
Snow and love, which explains in a way why your love life is such a mess, except for in the months of December and January, when you really come alive and turn into a Marvin Gaye style lover man. But the rest of the year,
it is that.
You're like the Father Christmas of love.
Someone's got it for love. Another language has got loads of names for love.
All right, mate. I'm not arguing with you.
It is true. It's not Eskimos, though.
No.
I'm pretty sure.
I'm
no,
pretty
you're
sure
right.
You're right.
It's snow. But isn't it that thing where they say that, actually English is quite limited because we can't say...
I won't have that because it's the best language in the world.
Right.
I say that speaking no other languages because that's the height of jingoism. No, English it's got to have one for... Do you think it's only one for imperialistic and colonial reasons?
Yeah.
Bloody hell, mate. You really jumped to that quite quickly.
Well, I mean, why don't we have more names for love?
Don't need them. Love's love.
Well, is your
Don't need 'em.
Is your love for me?
Yes, strong. Very strong love. Next question.
What about your love for West Ham? Is that the same love?
Wait a minute. I'm getting confused now. I need a new word here. I need a new word.
What about that thing we did last week?
That meant a lot to me. Hold on a minute. Let me think of... Is there amor, te quiero mucho. See, it's all going in. It's all going in, the Spanish. Not to mention the magic lessons. I'm getting better and better each week, says my magic teacher.
This is going to be a hell of a gig.
Hola! No, I've got nothing in my left hand. Mi mano izquierda. Nothing in my right hand. Mi mano...
Boo! Get off! Get Izzard back!
I knew I should have tried this in Leicester. Why didn't I go to Seville? Now, if you want to review this show, and why wouldn't you, you mad, sexy fool, like Stewie08 did, listen to a dozen football podcasts every week and have listened several times over to all of Russell's work. This is a match made in heaven, pardon the pun. Not just the monotonous format rifled out again, a funny breakdown with a 50% chance of a West Ham legend appearance. Well, today it's a Watford and Liverpool and England star. John Barnes is going to be on the show. Remember to leave us your reviews wherever you listen to your podcast. I'm not entirely sure that you can review things on Spotify, even though we were editor's choice on there, which is good news.
Well, spoiler alert. Barnes nearly played for West Ham.
What do you mean?
He nearly signed for West Ham.
Instead of Watford?
No. When he went to Newcastle, he'd agreed a deal to go to West Ham with under Harry Redknapp, but then got a last-minute offer from Dalglish.
I've done a deal with John, but like last minute Kenny's nipped in there.
This is what I read. It might turn out to be false.
We'll find out. That can be our questions. Let's prepare properly for this interview.
We do need to.
Not least because we're going to be discussing the topic of race and racism. So we don't want you wading in there.
No.
Well, actually, of the two of us, I'm the most likely to wade in there. So we'll go there very obviously with respect, of course, it's John Barnes, who I absolutely love. Jen, why are you grinning from ear to ear like the Queen of Ireland herself? And why did you send us a picture of Adama Traoré?
He's my favourite player. No one replied. I tried to get involved in the football chat.
You're stupid.
Oh.
And also you called him something like Eddie Marmy.
Oh, I could never
Edamame.
remember his name, and it sounds like Edamame.
Yeah, Jenny said, I've got a favourite player, it's Edamame. And then I said, and she said he plays for Wolves. And I said, it's Traoré, isn't it? She went, no, it's Edamame, it's not Traoré. I said, you mean Adama Traoré, don't you? And she said, of which there are two. Okay. We've not brought this up on the podcast yet.
Go for it. Obviously, it's having a big impact on you.
Russell's already bored.
There are two Adama Traorés. One who plays, one plays in the Champions League at the
There's
moment.
only 2 Adama Traoré.
Is that why he has his first name?
How possible? I
There's
can't
only
believe
2
that that's
Adama
happened and
Traorés.
no one's talked about it. Why has nobody talked about it? 2 Adama Traorés. It's not a.
You're talking about it. Where are you going to go with it now then?
I'm going nowhere
What,
with
the
it.
two of them meet?
No,
The two of them meet up? They like each other? What's the one that's not at Wolves like? Is he in Spain somewhere?
I don't know. He plays in the Champions League. I think he might play for Sheriff. I'm wrong, and someone's going to correct me on that. But
Well, he certainly will. This
yeah.
is like when you offended Arsenal fans all over again, Gal.
It's happened again.
Why don't you have a Norwich player as your favourite player, Jenny?
Yeah, Cantwell.
Well, the only game
Pookie.
I've watched in the whole thing, Premier League, is the Wolves game.
Why do you like him? Because of his thick arms and legs?
He's really speedy as well. You
Oh,
think,
yeah.
he's
You think
more like
he's
a rugby
sexy?
player. He's too young.
How old is he?
He's like 23.
That's not that young. He looks like a man to me,
Yeah.
mate. He
Yeah,
looks
he
like he
looks
knows
like a
exactly
man.
what he's
I
doing.
think he's older than that anyway.
Is he?
Yeah.
I looked him up though, and then I was disappointed.
Oh, you little perv. Perving on Adama
But I
Traoré.
watched Wolves play.
Yeah,
It's the only
I
game
mean,
I've seen.
he actually had a very good game at the weekend, and he still can't score because he doesn't score.
I think he keeps running too long.
He does run a
I
lot.
think he does. Did you see that run that he made at the weekend though? It was
Yeah, and
phenomenal.
then didn't he cross the byline though?
Yeah. No, but the keeper saved it.
Adama! That's it. You're in
Such
the
a shame.
stands.
He's got everything, but he cannot score.
I think it's like, do you know much about quantum entanglement theory? Because I certainly do.
Absolutely.
Now, these 2 Adama Traorés are existing simultaneously, and I think, like, if you reverse the charge of one of those Adama Traorés, the other one will simultaneously reverse. Now, I think there's something going on between the 2 Adama Traorés.
Yes.
They're trying to reunify.
Yes.
They've been split up by time, and it's like that cartoon Somewhere Out There, but it's them little mice what love each other. Somewhere out there, loving me tonight is the other Adama Traoré. I'll get to him all right.
We're in a strange mood this week, aren't we?
Oh,
I
Can
don't know what it is. I
Can
quite
the other
like
one
it.
Score?
I don't know what the other Adama
Can he
Traoré. I
score?
don't know.
The other
Ask him,
Adama
he loves
Traoré
him.
scores.
So can he run?
I don't know. Probably not as well as your
Maybe-
What are you doing,
Edamame.
perving on
No,
another
because maybe
Adama
you said they're
Traoré?
split, so he can score and the other one can
Yeah, I
run.
see what
and
you
if
mean,
pair
Jen.
them together, then they can run and score.
Oh,
good point.
2 Adama Traorés, like that sort of satirical platonic idea that
Yeah.
they've been split in 2. But I'd like to see them bound together, one Traoré on another one's back, playing together, switching roles.
Yeah.
It's not practical. Okay, so look, Gal, what other things did we do? Gal, hey Jengo, you tell us 15 minutes before Barnsley,
Okay.
and like then we'll prepare.
You
We'll
have
prepare.
30 minutes right now.
All right, well done, very professional. All right,
Can
so
I say one thing that I found very amusing on
Go
the
on.
Champions League coverage yesterday?
Yeah, of course. This is the perfect place. This is your football podcast.
So after the Liverpool game, which they won 3-2, it was an exhilarating match and full of incident.
Which Liverpool game?
So Atletico Madrid. Sorry, I'm straying from Premier League here, but
you're allowed
last
to.
night Liverpool.
That was last night that happened.
Yeah, we record this on
Tuesday.
Wednesdays. Tuesday, Liverpool 3-2. Absolutely fantastic. Liverpool went 2 up. Atletico Madrid came back. Griezmann scored both. Then Griezmann got sent off for a high
God, this
challenge.
sounds brilliant.
Then Liverpool got a ridiculous penalty, scored. Then
Apparently they didn't deserve. You mean?
no, they did deserve it, but the Madrid defender made a ridiculous foul, just like bundled into the Liverpool player. Then Liverpool concede a penalty, and then the ref changes his mind, goes to the monitor, changes
No,
his
it's
mind.
not a penalty.
It's not a penalty. So it's
And
amazing.
is this all in the last 10 minutes, that penalty stuff?
Yeah, this is all happening. Suarez comes on, all this kind of stuff. It's like
That's
full of
so
incident.
Cool. Is it Anfield or is it in Madrid?
No, Madrid.
This
So
is brilliant.
A great result for Liverpool.
Just hearing it.
So then it comes back to the studio afterwards. You
Who's
know,
in studio?
Jake's.
Jake's there, standing in for Gary, big shoes.
Yeah. And then he turns to Julian Lescott and he says, this is the first comment back. And he goes, "Wow, have you caught your breath yet, Julian?" And Julian says, "Yeah, I have."
Yeah, I caught it just then.
Yeah.
I've been doing breathing for ages. Also, I'm a professional athlete, so I'm monitoring my respiration is a key part of what I do. Oh, you mean metaphorically after that exhilarating football match? Oh, no, I'm still buzzing. I mean, when Suarez came, what an incredible amount of drama.
Yeah.
So Julian Lescott thought that what Jake was saying was literally...
Whether he did or didn't, I don't know. I was thinking of it as a kind of producer's perspective and just thinking that my response, but no, Jolien, the answer is only just or something.
Yeah,
but he went with yes, I have.
But you watch this with less experience, like those gnarled old buggers of Sky, your Keanes, your Sounesses. These people, they created the rhythms of punditry and commentary.
Yes.
So they know exactly what they're doing, so much that it almost becomes quite baroque or expressionistic. Souness says something, bloody hell, do you really care that much? But like sort of some of these newer lads, like they're a different breed, and they sort of a bit more like you can see, like say for example the City right back, Micah Richards. He's gets it now.
Yeah.
And like, but like, sometimes I watch like younger footballers, like that's probably still in their 30s, coming into the pundit game.
Yes.
And they're more likely to respond in a sort of a conversational way rather than recognising that what they're dealing in is a performance.
Yes, a performance. And it's a rhythm when it comes to football, isn't it? Certainly. And Lescott hasn't got the rhythms right yet because
you can do it, Jolien, like you did at Everton and like you did at City.
Yeah.
And West Brom, he went to
Villa.
Yeah. You can do it. That is pretty. No, I haven't.
I laughed out loud.
Yeah, I love that. I love that when you're watching something on your own and it's sort of like it gets you because you're sort of watching it inadvertently, comedically.
Yeah.
Like, cause you're watching it, you watch everything in a sense with two minds, particularly in football, because, like as we discussed in some depth last week, that you have to put aside a great deal of sort of social, political, critical thinking in order to enjoy it at all.
You do.
Like, just to return to the simplicity of the primal drama of the sport. I mean, like I told you, mate, as you know, I went to the Gandhi opera in the week.
Of course you did. I forgot to say, linked to the show, Lorenzo, who wrote who created our title music.
Brilliant.
His wife is in that opera.
As a what?
I don't know, actually. I haven't asked him. But she's in
mate,
it.
You want to develop your relationship with Lorenzo a bit.
I know.
My wife's in an opera. Yeah. Now listen, because you made
What
me a
about
jingle
title
for
music?
my show. If someone told me they was in an opera, I want to know, because I'm interested in. Firstly, I want to know how much they earn. Sat down there, they graft down there in that orchestra pit, mate.
Do.
I see the flautists; they were going nuts.
Yeah.
Like, and also
flautists, but never mind.
Flautist is pronounced, mate. Now, I think you'll find. I was looking for a French hornist. There weren't one.
What?
Gareth the French hornist. They don't need it in that Gandhi musical by Philip Glass at the ENO, which I enjoyed. Don't need it. Oh yeah, like Gandhi, he's doing the Sword March. Gandhi is fighting against the oppressive British. That's not the vibe. The vibe's fluty. The vibe is deep.
Was it? Wow. Anyway, look. So she's not in the orchestra. And she's not a musician. She's an actress by trade. So, but she will have been. I don't know, one of the cast.
She's done a smashing job.
Yeah, you really enjoyed it, didn't you? He texted me the other day and said, "Oh, Radiger, his wife, told me that Russell came to the opera, the Gandhi opera."
I like it that when I go to an opera,
apparently they were all talking about you.
No, that's exactly what I need in life. Because otherwise, I feel like my life's not got enough value to it.
There's a lot of whispers going around. Oh, did you hear Russell Brand was here?
I hope they saw me up in the... Because the first half, I was late, right? Because I was getting my tattoo done on my neck. And they stick you in a...
What a life you lead.
And they stuck me downstairs, me and the wife. They put you in like a quarantine. They quarantine you down in a little area just watching it on a telly. And I was like, this takes a piss because these tickets are expensive.
Yeah, but you were late.
But with my shows, they come filing in.
No, they're not allowed.
Well, actually, I've changed it now. They can only come in when the lights go up when I do a bit of crowd work. Like,
so it is the same.
Oh, yeah. I can dish it out, but I can't take it, Cal. I can dish it out, but I cannot take it. So we've sat there, and when I arrived down the stairs to the bottom bit of where the opera is, down the ENO, and everyone's watching the telly, they put everyone out on just seats. And it was just like, it was a bit of a weird setup, really. A bunch of people watching telly of what was going on 10 foot away.
Yeah.
And like when I walked down...
Was it like Henman's Hill?
Yeah, I suppose so. It's a more compact.
It's nice that they show you it. We don't show them it. At your show.
All right, stop making out that I'm worse than Gandhi, because I'm not. I'm the same, and I'm as nice as him. This is a funny thing that my wife pointed out. I'll tell you this bit first. But we're downstairs. Like we go downstairs. When I come downstairs, they were sitting there. I goes, "What's happened?" Because I thought that they'd go.
They weren't like that.
They didn't like it, mate. They looked at me, but then a lot of people did want to chat to me and that. Like,
that
went into the opera.
That was what Radiger said. Is that people apparently were trying to talk to you, and you were trying to watch the opera.
Yeah, I'm watching the opera, mate. I love the opera. I'm here for the opera. Then I asked one of the staff, let's in one of them boxes. It's empty. So I went in a box for the second half. Because it's better in a box because you can talk.
I know.
See, it's probably the same money as football. The thing is with opera, This is what I know. Obviously, Gareth's a classically trained musician. Those of you who don't know. So, Gareth, this will be like sort of watching a little child telling you about. Gareth, you can tell us what it's like in a minute. But like what I realised with opera is that it's like with language. Like for example, what you're listening to now, I'm using very specific verbal signifiers to paint a picture of an event. But with opera, it's like it's pre-linguistic, isn't it? It's not going, and then Gandhi went there, and then Gandhi done that, but this happened to Gandhi. It's sort of the mood of, this is what it's like in India with this tension of oppression. This is what it's like to feel that you are the lightning rod of a political and social movement. It's going directly to the emotion, as opposed to the models of language that are the necessary intermediaries for verbal communication. Is that right?
Well, listen, I'm no expert in opera, but yeah, I'm sure you're absolutely right. It's conjuring the emotion. Well, you have probably read the back of a book on opera, have you now?
It's in the programme.
Back of the programme, yeah.
I actually looked a bit of what was inside the programme, and some of that was quite good as well. I was talking about the people that directed it and these bloody brilliant puppets that were in it. This I heartily recommend. Anyway, this is a football podcast.
But yeah, I mean, to link it to football. I mean, we spoke before. I mean, often.
But that was the point. It's the raw emotion.
Yeah.
The opera reaches the raw emotion. The football reaches the raw emotion.
Yeah, and often some of the kind of phrasing and wording within operas is quite simplistic as well, or can be, in the same way that we talked about the chanting in football, and they're all connected, as you say, through emotion. They're not as distinct as people may first think.
In his documentary on Class, Grayson Perry pointed out like that sort of he showed this woman like she was at a working men's club with like a singer that was a bit like that episode of Fools and Horses where that geezer, brilliant turn by whoever it was playing him, did like sort of like a Tom Jones style bloke who takes off his wig, takes the cucumber out his trousers, all of that stuff. Anyway, like there's a woman, he shows real footage of a sort of northern working men's club. This woman sort of crying with her hands in the air, really near him, with her sparse, and she's obviously lashed and that. And like she's weeping. He goes, but like, and we think of that sort of vulgar and crass, but at an opera, if it was like someone dabbing their eyes, it's a highly sophisticated thing. It's basically the same bloody thing though.
Yeah.
It's like it's a stylistic choice to posit opera as high culture and like,
Absolutely.
Tom Jones music as low culture.
Absolutely.
It's not actually any different.
No, I mean, think the way that opera used to be a kind of everyman thing, didn't it? In the days that it was actually written for, like watching Amadeus or something like that, you see that's a room of normal people.
Oh yeah, they go, hey, go on, mate.
yeah.
Go on, Amadeus. I'll tell you what, mate, you nailed that opera. You reached right down to my soul. That bit that goes, that's my favourite bit, I reckon.
Yeah.
Like a little bird.
But isn't it wonderful that it was for the everyman?
Everything should be.
I kind of love that.
We've got to break down all these class structures. We've got to break down all these taxonomies. We've got to break down the week's football. It's Russell Brand's football breakdown. Let's have a jingle.
Football breakdown. This is Russell's breakdown.
Russell's breakdown. Time to go.
I like your breakdowns.
Does it again.
Right. Okay. Wait a sec, because I've got some points to make about the week's
As
football.
reliable as his breakfast. Russell
where
will
is mine?
interrupt that jingle.
I'm down at breakfast, I tell you that. That's just but one breakfast. What do you call me? You think I'm some sort of one breakfast? No, Mark. Give me
Russell
another
one breakfast over here.
Give me a breakfast. Good shot. Good on you.
What are you starting with, Ross? What an amazing weekend.
Yeah, for football. Because Gandhi.
Not personally.
Oh, I just want to make one more Gandhi joke.
Okay.
Right? Now, Gandhi walks into a bar. It's not that sort of joke. My wife, like, at the end, when they took the curtain, right? The curtain call for the applause. Gandhi actually done a namaste sign.
Wow.
Like, and my wife goes, he's actually still pretending to be Gandhi. I was going, yeah, he's going back to a flat in Tooting or something now. He's not going to go and like lead a march or bring that out. You're not actually Gandhi, mate. Like, he still looked a bit put upon. It's just going to be some bloke, isn't he? Some geezer from South London.
His method.
It made me laugh to see that happen. All right, back to the football breakdown. Don't need to do the jingle again, Jingo.
But yeah, when I said what a weekend, I meant of football.
I know.
Some incredible games and incredible goals.
Incredible games, incredible goals. What do you mean by that?
Well, I made a list of the top goals.
Tielemans.
Tielemans. I mean, the less
Tielemans.
Cat Stevens. Yeah, I mean the Leicester man.
I like Tielemans.
I like Tielemans.
I like his baby face.
Yeah, it's incredibly baby face, isn't it?
It's beautiful.
That Leicester Man U game, some smashing goals. Greenwood, Tielemans, Rashford, Vardy. What a game for goals that was. And then you've got Ndombele, scored an absolute belter for Spurs.
Do you like to say Ndombele?
I do, actually, yeah.
So do I.
Salah's goal, unbelievable. Salah's pass
who is this man,
for
Salah?
Mane's goal.
They're saying he's going to win Ballon d'Or.
Oh.
He should win Ballon d'Or.
Well, someone's got to
Can't be Ronaldo now.
Of course it can't.
He's basically proven himself to be not that good.
Ineffective.
And like Messi, sick of it.
Yep.
Salah.
Got to be, hasn't it?
I want that. Who's the last one of not them to win it? Modric, wasn't it?
Yep.
All right, hold on. So here's some of my breakdowns, and
Go
you
on.
do your breakdowns as well.
Okay, mate.
We can all have a breakdown together. You can tell the result on Match of the Day from the sort of way they tee it up. Like you can sort of say United not beaten on the road for 29 games. Let's see if they can. Well, I think they're not going to, because I didn't watch some of the I didn't watch matches because I thought I'd do it that way for a change.
Was it nice? What was the experience different? So not knowing the results.
Not knowing the results, it was nice. And actually, I did that on the second day. I was really hoped that West Ham, I felt nervous about West Ham, but then Christina, who helps us with social media, she went, "Are you going to post something about the West Ham game?" And I thought, would Christina say that if West Ham had lost? But then I thought Christina probably doesn't know about the subtleties of football, so that actually isn't a deterministic
You were
thing.
looking for signs.
Yeah, I was looking for signs, and because it was obviously against Everton and that. I've got no jokes about that, or not even jokes. I wouldn't.
I've got observations. But
Observations.
We'll come to them.
But listen, let me tell you this. So you can tell the result there.
Yeah.
United and Leicester have swapped centre backs. What's the point in this? What's the point in...
I used to mean Johnny Evans and Maguire.
That's what I mean. And that's one of those moments where, like, sometimes don't you just get struck by, say, like, we've got Declan Rice, then Jared Bowen, like, you just think, eventually they're going to sign for someone else. It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's annoying the way that the machinery functions to sort of harvest the best talent. There
Isn't
should be
it?
a draft style system introduced. It would make it more competitive. In like American football, which oddly with it being such a culture, broadly speaking, economically dominated by capitalism, like as the whole world is, that they have, you don't have periods of hegemony in American football. Somewhat, some say, because of the draft.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly amazing for America that there is that system in place. And I guess ultimately it relates to the fact that college football is so big, which is an industry in of itself. So it still essentially is down to capitalism. We always such a fantastic system that...
Go on, explain that again.
Well, because it's an industry,
Right.
and the college system of the draft is an industry in and of itself.
Hang on, it's just better capitalism that they've more refined.
Yeah, it just goes down a tier or whatever. But it's still amazing that you get it
at least breaks up the monopolies of
monopolies.
power.
Yeah, absolutely, and that's fantastic.
You have things like I don't know, the Patriots are really good for a while, the 49ers or the Packers or whatever, but it doesn't have there's not eras such as we understand.
No, but
how
would we do it? How would we do? We couldn't. We don't have a university, a relatable university system of.
I think I don't know yet.
I don't know. We'll have to think about it. Hey, we should talk to someone about
wage caps. It's probably wage caps.
Yeah, we'll talk to someone about this.
Yeah, let's talk to an expert.
Yeah.
All right, Sonuchu, am I saying that right? Soyuncu. Of all the players in top flight football, he would most easily make the transition to pornography.
What's the next point?
Don't you think he has the look of a man who could have appear in adult entertainment?
Well, if I'd ever seen any, then maybe I would.
That's my point on, because he just looks like, hey, baby.
He does. He looks very smooth.
All right, I could say it a different way. He's the most likely to go to you, hey, baby, of all top flight
Yeah, you're right.
players.
Although I was going to say he's a hard man, but this could be.
Oh, dear. Oh,
It's
no.
15 minutes to John.
15
Okay,
minutes
thanks,
to
Jen.
John Barnes.
We're going to do a John Barnes.
Yeah, we've got to prepare
prep.
properly.
Yeah,
Jesus.
we need to do at least 5 minutes before Barnes
10,
is on. 10.
I'd say. Brendan Rodgers.
His first names now, and English ones at that. Suddenly it's just going to be little signs and signifiers coming from Russell's mouth.
Yeah, it'll be an opera. Just be Gandhi in the opera. What do you think he meant by that? It's like that Matthew McConaughey interview. What's Matthew trying to tell us? I think he's saying that he was disappointed by the draw. Right, so I think Brendan Rodgers should be managing a top 4 side.
Yeah. I mean, look, Leicester, it's interesting, isn't it? Because there was that thought about Rodgers is that he's a bottler. You know.
He's a bottler.
Well, he bottled it at Liverpool.
He bottled it.
You could argue. I'm not suggesting this is the case, but it has been
in what
level.
way was it bottling?
Well, in that the season that they were on course to win the title.
A bit unfortunate.
It was a bit unfortunate. There was the
slip
Gerrard
against Chelsea
slip and
the Palace result.
The three. Well, that's not unfortunate, is it? To come from let Palace back in the game.
That's bottling.
That's bottling, and you could argue. And with Leicester, keeps on not making that top four. What was it last season where Leicester spent more time in the top four than any other team and still didn't make the top four?
It's unfortunate, isn't it?
Yeah.
The bit where we weren't in the top four, that's the only moment where it matters.
Yeah.
That moment there.
Yeah. So look, I think, certainly he's obviously a very talented manager. He's very well thought of.
He's nice and intense. He does things like give you an envelope.
I heard someone...
Right, I want you to open this envelope on the last day of the season, and then there's just got a swear word, and may or may not apply to you. Like, he's sort of like, he does mind games.
Yeah, it is.
On his players, loving mind games.
Yeah, but they're obviously not working.
It's actually counterproductive mind games.
Yeah, but I know. Obviously, Tottenham wanted him in the summer, didn't they? They didn't get him. There's been a lot of talk this week about if Manchester United had Brendan Rodgers, they'd have won silverware by now. So yeah, he is probably destined for bigger things than Leicester, and that's I don't mean anything against Leicester there, but yeah, you're probably right.
A post Guardiola City or a post Ole Gunnar Solskjaer United.
Well, I heard someone mention Newcastle this week, but that's never going to happen. That's never going to happen because it's certainly not immediately.
Where did you hear your rumour about it?
I'm listening to all sorts now. Talk Sport, I think this one was.
I heard it from an interesting outside of football source.
The Eddie Howe one.
Yeah, that someone I know was contacting, going, listen, I might be involved in a da-da-da, and if I am, Eddie Howe's going to be the thing.
Oh, so when I text you...
I'd heard that.
You'd
so I was
heard
like,
it already.
and then when the person told me that, I Googled, right? And it sort of, and it said odds on Eddie Howe slashed. So I goes, when you read something like that, that means because it's been, it's gotten out. Something's going on
when it's affecting money.
Now you know.
I mean, he was rumoured, I think last season, wasn't he? And also Celtic, but didn't seem to. Well,
although Simon Jordan said he bottled the Celtic. Oh, that's what you need. Someone who took Bournemouth down, bottled the Celtic.
Well, yeah. I mean, again, it's true, isn't it? Is that what Newcastle need? But who are Newcastle going to attract at this moment in time?
Eddie Howe, Eddie Y, Eddie When.
I heard Roy Hodgson mentioned.
Yeah, Danny Murphy was pushing for Roy Hodgson.
Because he'll keep him up. That's his theory on that.
Because if they did go down, it would be mental. Hey, listen, we better prepare for John Barnes.
Right.
Have you done some prep?
We'll come back to the breakdown later on. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, there's so much to talk about. I've, for example, not said that Rashford looks... I love Rashford's new hair. And Pogba looks like the lieutenant in an army in the Matrix.
Right. Is that because of the blue bit in his hair?
The blue bits now are like mini dreads. And it's like he's cyberpunk, I would say now.
I love his look, I have to say.
He's a beautiful looking guy. But after the end of the thing, he was like, I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's happening.
Absolutely. It was mad. He said he challenged the mindset of his own players. Now, I think that's quite a big statement for someone to come out with.
Who, Pogba did?
Yeah. Yeah. He challenged the mindset of his own
He's
players.
The player most
he
likely
said
to be dropped.
maybe there's something wrong with our mindset.
God, that's a weird thing to say.
It is, isn't it?
Most people think that what the real issue is they don't press hard enough. They're not trying hard enough. They need more holding midfielders.
Yeah.
They need to buy Calvin Phillips or Declan Rice or someone show up midfield that they didn't really need.
But they didn't need Ronaldo.
Some people said that
they said it at the time,
didn't they? Said Ronaldo, that's not going to be good. That's
I think Carragher said, this is a better signing for the Premier League than it is for Man United. That Man United just don't need him. And I mean, there's a strong case for it. What seems to be coming out this week is that United play with 4 attacking players, and you can't do that unless you're Manchester City. That no other team does that and is successful.
Yeah, like Liverpool's midfield, defensive-minded midfielders, brilliant defence. I mean, obviously the wing-back.
Chelsea.
Same with Chelsea.
Yeah.
And they said that Tuchel adjusted.
Yeah.
This analysis is not mine. My analysis comes from Talk Sport. My analysis is things like, he looks like he's from the future. Stuff like that. Come on, let's prepare for John Barnes.
Yes, let's prepare for John Barnes. There's all sorts of stuff to talk about. I think you should basically handle this interview.
I love John Barnes.
I mean, I won't say this, but growing up, John Barnes was my all-time favourite player.
Why?
I just thought he was mesmerising as a player. Liverpool were huge when I was at primary school and started getting into football. And every kid wanted to be John Barnes when we were playing football in the playground. Yeah, he was everything. I think many a Liverpool player has said that he's the most talented player they've ever seen. And that's saying something for like Liverpool players. So,
what football-related things do you want to cover? Because obviously his book is called "The Uncomfortable Truth About Racism."
Yeah.
So, like, what I've said is that I'm going to ask John Barnes, and in fact, I already have asked via his publisher for him to come on our other podcast, Under the Skin, available from Luminary, which is a subscription model. Like to have a proper chat with him. So, and the reason I did that, Gal, was to take some pressure off us.
Yeah.
So we weren't tackling the complexity of we wouldn't have to tackle it anyway. We'd just go, what are you saying, John?
He's agreed to come on Under the Skin.
Oh, that's great news.
Well done, Jen.
Just so you know before you go in.
No, it's good. Thanks, Jen. Thanks. It's nice that you've. Thank you. Now, so what football-related matters shall we discuss with him?
There are so many. I mean, there was the West Ham one that I told you
I like
before.
that.
I'd love
Definitely.
to know
Did
whether...
you really go West Ham? Why did you renege on that go up to Newcastle?
Yeah, exactly.
Do you want to mention the goal against Brazil?
Yeah.
Do you want to recognise the Aldridge, Beardsley sort of time at Liverpool?
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean,
do you want to recognise how after he had that injury, he sort of played in a deep arm or distributing role?
That's absolutely right. Yeah. I mean, these are all good. Apparently, another transfer related one is Alex Ferguson turned down signing him apparently, and then
from Watford.
From Watford, and then immediately regretted it apparently. Well, not immediately, but because I think it was then another 6-7 years before United won the league, and obviously Barnes went on to have big success with Liverpool. But maybe we won't talk about that. I don't know.
He gave Liverpool a prolonged era.
Yes.
Post that Dalglish heyday.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was surprised to read that Liverpool he only won 2 titles under Liverpool, actually, because I would have thought
I am surprised.
Yeah.
Who's winning them around then? Arsenal as well?
Yeah. Well, Barnes, I mean, he probably won't want to talk about this, but he gave the ball away in the lead up to Michael Thomas scoring that goal for Arsenal. So,
in their half, I think, in the Liverpool's attacking half.
Yeah, which is, I mean, that's probably not one to bring up.
Don't bring that up.
We won't bring that up. We won't bring up the rap.
England rap. Sick of talking about that.
Surely he's sick of
talking about that.
I mean, I absolutely love it.
So do I.
But yeah, football related thing. I don't know. What do we focus on?
Could talk about when he was Harry's Heroes.
Yeah, Harry's Heroes is great. He's brilliant on that.
Yeah, I know. It's intense, isn't he?
I think he's the best thing in that. I really like watching Barnes.
What else can we ask?
I guess, I mean, in terms of football, Barnes was very much ahead of his time as a player.
Why?
Well, his skills were like nothing we'd ever seen in this country. I think the type of player, he's been voted the greatest left-sided player of all time in this country, and I think it must have just blown people's minds. It certainly did me as a kid watching him. But he was also he saw that kind of transition. He was involved in the famous Liverpool Newcastle game. The Liverpool 4-3. Yeah, which has been called the greatest Premier League game of all time. And so, as a kind of, in terms of his skill set...
Hey, I ain't got a pen or paper. And I've got to write down my John Barnes questions.
In terms of his skill set and style of play, it's an interesting one with Barnes and the kind of transition of football through the end of the First Division into the Premier League, and the kind of change of style, the influx of foreign players.
It was a pivotal period.
I think it was a pivotal period, and he was a kind of constant in terms of he was involved throughout that time, and you could say that maybe more players began to join the Premier League who had his kind of skill set. And I wonder,
like Ginola.
Yeah, exactly. And but I would say
Let's say he's a harbinger of skill.
That's very nice.
Yeah. All right. I think we're prepared. Let's go back to the breakdown. Do you feel prepared?
Yeah. Well, there's a couple of things related to the book, because we are going to have to.
Yeah, we are.
We are mentioning
but that'll be
the book.
much more I've got a few questions about
He's
that.
got some incredible quotes here that, I just think.
But you can do them in the thing.
Do them in them, but I just thought I'd maybe mention them to you before.
Oh, in case there's too much aggro. Go on, him.
So this is obviously all related to his book, The Uncomfortable Truth About Racism, which it sounds absolutely amazing. I know you've read a portion of it already, haven't you?
Yeah, I read it. I read I read it for about half hour, 40 minutes yesterday, and I was like, oh my God, this is pretty good, actually. As in, what I mean by that is it had a sort of degree of nuance that it's like you'd imagine it was written by a person whose primary function is writing books.
Yeah.
Not their primary function is being a footballer.
Yeah.
But then, of course, he's a complex and layered man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this quote here, I know this is going to change the kind of mood slightly, but it all interrelates to lots of things that we're talking about. The things we were talking about kind of related to capitalism last week and the Newcastle takeover and all sorts. And there is a link between these things. So I'll read this quote. What we believe has to happen is to get an elite group of black people into positions of power and things will change. That has never worked. You have to look at the nuances around class and elitism. We have to work from the bottom up to see the average black person as equals. The same goes for the women and gay people. If we do that, you'll see many rising up the ladder themselves. But we are not doing that. We are looking to elevate an elite group of black players to give the illusion that progress is happening. What we are doing is elevating them out of their state of being black. We have to stop looking at what's going on up above. Stop saying that's a representation of equality or what we can be. We have to change perceptions based on the experience of the average black person. We have to recondition the way we think. We have to first accept that this is a thing, that we have been conditioned to think in a certain way, then understand why it happened. Why it happened had nothing to do with black and white and everything to do with capitalism.
Oh my God.
Capitalism,
like Michel Foucault.
economics and the system. And so, yeah, I wanted to
amazing.
read that in case we didn't get an opportunity to kind of read that before.
Out to him.
Yeah, it's out to him. But
All
I think
right.
that's an amazing few quotes there.
Mental.
That, as I say, we've discussed things around this.
Gal, we've
before.
never been this prepared for anything in our lives. This is it.
I will probably not say anything other than
think
you were
that's
my
for the
favourite
best.
player during the interview.
Right, now, did you see? Let's go back to Russell's breakdown.
Okay.
Back. What about that one where it goes, football is nice? Oh, look at her hovering above that thing. It's like a nan with a
Because
remote
it's low.
control. Do you remember remote controls come in? And the nan had one.
I need to whittle down the amount of
I
jingles on
need
here.
to whittle it down. Whittling? You're meant to be running a tech.
You're floundering,
You're a
Jen.
producer.
Yeah, because
You
that
should be
one-
talking about whittling.
I
That's a pre-technological
Oh, God.
art form.
Yeah.
What are you going to do? Whittle us a
You
sound
don't like
desk
any of those
out of
words
balsa
like
wood?
snippet or whittle.
She still ain't found it. She's
I don't have that one on here. That's for post.
Oh, for God's sake. Right, listen. All right, so
Breakdown.
pretend it's happened. Right? Okay. So, nice moment between Klopp and Ranieri in the
That was lovely.
Watford. Hey, Barnes' clubs.
Hey.
Barnes' clubs.
Yeah. Interesting.
Klopp and Ranieri and his other club,
Newcastle.
Barnes' clubs. Do you reckon that Klopp said stuff in Italian, or do you reckon they spoke English during that exchange where they cuddled on the touchline and like, had a real laugh?
I'm going to say English. He kind of like doffed this cap to him kind of thing, didn't
Yeah.
he? It was lovely, that. I do like Klopp.
The fact of the matter is Ranieri's won as many titles as Klopp.
Yeah, absolutely.
Premier League.
Yeah.
Barnes is in the
John
in
Barnes!
the waiting room. We'll let him in.
Yeah, don't leave John Barnes waiting in a waiting room. Get it going, Jen. Is it
Okay,
going to
he's
just
coming
appear
in,
on my
yeah.
screen?
Yeah.
John Barnes.
Yes, can you hear me?
Wow. All right, mate. It's me, Russell Brand. How's it going?
I'm good, mate. Can you see me?
I can see you. I can hear you. You look like you're in the foyer of a hotel or something.
Well, it's a little private room. It's not a foyer. It's kind of like a private room.
John,
But it's in
thanks.
Liverpool. So you know what private rooms are like in Liverpool? 'Cause we're salt of the earth. Your kind of people, down to earth. Everybody's just all mixed in.
That's
So this
what
is
I
the
want to
VIP
see.
section, where the people just around.
Get them people out of there. Get them sort of the earth out of there.
They're around. The riffraff. Get the riffraff out. I can't believe you're wearing that shirt.
John, well, there's a time when you should have been wearing it. That's the truth of the matter.
Well, when I was leaving Liverpool and Harry gave me a little ring and Harry said, would you fancy come on down? Unfortunately, Kenny phoned me as well and Newcastle were in the Champions League. So I made the wrong decision, didn't I? I should have gone with Harry.
You should have come down. Should have come to the East End. John, thanks for coming on. I also do this show with my friend Gareth, who loves you. And
Hi, John. Lovely to meet you.
Hi, mate. How you doing?
Really well, really well.
all right. So, John, thanks for coming on. I checked out your book, The Uncomfortable Truth About Racism, and on reading it, I felt that we should also do my other podcast, Under the Skin, which is a longer podcast. Which
someone mentioned that. Yeah, because that'd be better. Because of course, the book is also about capitalism and classism and elitism and stuff like that, and we can't really talk about that in 2 or 3 minutes, can we?
Well, you might be able to, John. It seems that you.
No, I'm not. I need a long time to talk about elitism and elites and non-elites and discrimination. Generally speaking.
Please don't take this the wrong way, because I don't mean. I was surprised by the level of complexity of the arguments that you make in this book, because I suppose the subject of race is often a reductive one. Racism itself is a reductive attitude, but many of the proposed solutions to racism are similarly reductive. Me and Gareth just read a quote from your book just now, which talked about the intersectionality of race and class,
gender
and sexuality, and the many sort of tokenistic responses that are suggested as solutions to racial inequality that can never be anything more than gestures unless you address these these co-committant issues as well. I didn't expect.
Absolutely. So all you'll do is elevate a few more elite gay people, women, black people into the positions of power, thinking that things will change for the masses, and it won't, because it never happened in history from any revolution. I'm reading this book here, The Haitian Revolution. In fact, I've already read it.
Yeah.
They're rethinking the Haitian Revolution, because they're trying to make out that was about black slaves freeing themselves. It wasn't. It was about a middle class, black free mulatto trying to get more power from France in the name of the black slaves. And this is what it always has been. And that's why the book is really about not putting black footballers above the black community and thinking that we're doing anything because now we're going to stop racism towards them when nothing changes for the masses. It's to do it from the bottom up. Change the perception of the average black person, the average woman, and then things will get better further up the line. But that's a deep discussion.
It's deep, but it's a beautiful and it's a necessary discussion. And of course, it's relevant to the subject of class, which is perhaps a more clear marker of inequality, or certainly were the issues of class and economic inequality to be addressed, it would certainly.
And if we want an example of that, just look at the white working classes who are disenfranchised by the white elite.
Yes.
So why do we as black people think that the white elite are going to do us any favors when they're even discriminated against their own white working classes?
John, I suppose you could say historically that most empires colonize and tyrannize their indigenous population before embarking on imperialist projects abroad, before going to Africa absolutely. Or elsewhere. Yeah. So John, it sounds like from the bits I've read of your book, mate, I picked it up just out of respect, you know what I mean, like you do when you're having a guest. But then I got into it because I was surprised, and I was surprised by the complexity of your arguments, your willingness to make unpopular ideas palatable. But I suppose I shouldn't have been surprised, because even in your career as a pundit and a contributor post your playing career, you've gotten involved in this subject in ways that are surprising.
Well, that's not the narrative that the establishment want to hear. That is why they're very uncomfortable. That's why I'm very happy for them to get me on Sky. If you want to talk about football tactics, put me on Strictly Come Dancing. But if you want to talk about inequality and race, then I don't compromise. And of course, they don't want to do that. They want to say that it's just Eastern European football fans or white working class football fans is the reason why black kids are stabbing each other on the street and black people can't get jobs, education, housing, and we're just neglecting. Not only are we neglecting them, we're deflecting from the real issues here systemically by saying, and of course, yes, we do have to point the finger at overt racists in Eastern Europe or white racist football fans, but they're not the reason why black people are disenfranchised, or the rapist isn't the reason that women are there's sexism towards women. You know, Martin Luther King said in 1963 that it is the shallow understanding of good people, which is a bigger problem than the total misunderstanding of bad people. And we just think, because I wouldn't racially abuse somebody or throw a banana on the field, I'm not racist. I wouldn't rape a woman, so I'm not sexist. I wouldn't beat up a gay guy, so I'm not homophobic. We're all somewhere along the line. And until we accept it within ourselves, we can't move forward.
I liked your willingness to approach it that openly. I thought it was a necessary contribution to the conversation. I was interested in how your own background as growing up in Jamaica, or at least spending part of your childhood there as a member of a military family, gave you a unique, or at least atypical, insight into the often simplified relationships between different class and racial groups. So even though I would say it sounds like you have an extremely sophisticated view of race decent class now.
Interestingly,
go on, mate.
Interestingly, my father went to Sandhurst with Andrew Parker Bowles, who was Kimmela's first husband. He was the best man at my father's wedding. So as much as I brought up in a military background, don't forget there are two sides to us all. My mother's family, the Hills of Jamaica, they were instrumental. Her father and her uncle, alongside Alexander Bustamante and Norman Manley, Michael Manley's father, in starting the first Jamaican government. They were put in prison for sedition, for independence. So they were socialists. So from a political point of view, yes, I was brought up in a military and an elite military background, because my father was a colonel in the army. And when we came to England, we lived in Highgate, we lived in Mayfair, and, we drove around with private plates because we had diplomatic immunity. But in terms of the way I always felt, it was completely different. Now, I remember playing football as an 18-year-old, and while I was getting racially abused as an 18-year-old, I was fine because I'm on the pitch, I'm on the coach, drinking champagne and having a nice, fillet steak on the way home while fans outside were shouting at me or abusing me on the pitch, which was water off a duck's back. But I looked into the stand and I saw average black people getting beaten up, getting abused, and no one speaks for them. And we're still doing it now. The fans that are abused, if you want to put a football context, the fans that are abused and no one talks to them, we talk about an Eastern European on Twitter or someone on Twitter racially abusing a footballer, but so many black people who are football fans are in the stands getting abused. But as long as you don't do it to footballers, everything will be forgotten about. So really, I think that's the essence of the book, to do it from the bottom up.
I think when it comes to change, whether it's political, economical, or about addressing prejudicial attitudes, if it isn't done from the bottom up, it is almost by definition about symbols and gesture as opposed to authentic change. Mate, would you mind? One of the bits I enjoyed was your story about Graham Taylor. Are you checking your time? Are you under pressure?
No, I'm fine. Are we on? Are we on at 11, aren't we? No, I don't have to leave till 11:30. I've got lots of time.
Thanks, man. That story you told about Graham Taylor when at Watford you was playing Oldham. Would you tell that story, mate?
Well, I only found that out about 3 months ago from Luther. I was doing a podcast, I was doing an interview with Luther, and I'm talking to Luther about this. And I remember this was 1983, when, of course, it was virtually incumbent on you to racially abuse people back in 1983 if you're a football fan.
It was impolite not to.
But that's the way it was. And I wasn't aware of it. What had happened was, at halftime, we're playing against Oldham. At halftime, the team came back into the dressing room. And Graham wasn't there. Now, Graham was always the first in the dressing room, giving the team talk for the full 15 minutes. Everyone sat down and kept quiet. Graham wasn't there. And Sam Ellis, I think, was the coach. He started doing the team talk. And, we just thought, well, this is a bit strange. But I don't know. We're not even thinking about where Graham was. He came in with about 3 minutes before we went out. So for about 12 minutes, Sam Ellis took the team talk. Graham came in, did a little bit. Come on, lads, right? We're going to do blah, blah, blah. Went back out, played. Didn't know what had happened. What had then happened, as Luther told me, but Luther knew, he didn't know at the time, he found out after, and I only found out, as I said, 3 months ago, was that there were some Watford fans, and it's not because they're Watford fans. I'm always loath to talk about race when there's racism with football fans, because those fans say, you're saying we're racist at them. No. No more than the next one. But it was Watford, and some Watford fans were racially abusing one of the black players at Oldham. And we hardly heard it. In fact, if we heard it, we were used to hearing it anyway, so it wouldn't have registered with us. But obviously, Graham had heard it. And what he did was, at halftime when we went in, he went up to the PA system, got a microphone, went to the middle of the pitch, 1983, middle of the pitch, and he said, if I hear any more racist abuse to any of the Oldham fans, you've got two black players playing with you, and regardless of whether you have black players with you or not, it's wrong. If I hear it anymore, you will never come to this football stadium again, on the mic in front of everyone. And then he just gave the mic back, and that's how strong he was in terms of, now listen, that's a powerful moment. Which was not even reported upon. Imagine if that happened now. And that's in 1983, which shows you the greatness of Graham Taylor.
Yeah, it does. And I would like to add to that. How did you feel, mate, when subsequently he, as England manager, became the subject of a level of derision and ridicule that up until that point I'd never seen in media, and perhaps was the beginning of that level of media concerted condemnation, storm manufacture, the turnip stuff on the front of the paper, all of that. How did you feel knowing that this was a person you knew personally, that had that kind of moral caliber to stand up in front of people when it wasn't fashionable, when it wasn't a gesture because of his own sort of spirit? How did that feel to see that happen? The subsequent.
It was hurtful, just even on a personal level, because this is a man I admired. But Graham was a little bit naive in that, because I remember when I was playing for England before he was managing England. So I'm playing for England, playing for Watford, and when I played for England, the press would give me a hard time, and he would say to me, and when I played for Watford, they would love me, and he pulled me aside and he said, you know what? Do you trust what the press say about you? I said, what do you mean? He goes, because when you play for Watford and they tell you you're the best in the world and how great you are, do you believe them? And if you believe them when they tell you that, when you play for England, believe them when they tell you you're rubbish. So don't worry about what the press say. Yeah. But what Graham didn't understand was that the press loved Watford because we were the underdogs. And you know, in England, everyone loves an underdog. So when you play for Watford against Liverpool, Man United, and you beat them, the press love you. So the press loved him when he was the Watford manager. When he went to manage England, the boots on now the underfoot. And Graham's thing was always be open. So he opens himself to the press very naively to say, listen, because we're all English and, you know, we all want to do well, the press included, we're all pulling in the right direction. This is what we are, because he's very Churchillian in his attitude towards British people being all together. And he thought that, you know, if I open myself up to them and I'm very honest with them, they will be on my side. So he was very naive in that because he was too open. Well, he should never have agreed to do that warts and all, the documentary when, you know, they're on the side of the pitch, and very open with them in terms of everything he actually said, because they crucified him. I think that hurt him more than anything else.
Yeah, because he obviously operated under the assumption that if you're truthful and authentic, you'll be okay. But you're not dealing with a truthful and authentic system. You're dealing with a system that has certain roles. Whether each individual within that system is aware of those roles, the system functions in a particular way.
And if you can't challenge the system, things will stay the same. You get within the system because, look, Margaret Thatcher was a woman. Nothing changed for women. Cressida Dick, they're now going through the Sarah Everard and having to go Cressida Dick because she's a woman, so she should do better to attack her. She can't change anything within the system. And the biggest example of that, Russell, which you will understand, is the CSL, the ESL, the European Super League. Liverpool, Arsenal, Man United, these big clubs are the strongest, most powerful clubs within UEFA. Now, they know we can't change things for the betterment of ourselves within that existing structure. So we have to leave that. We can't say we're the strongest in UEFA, so therefore we want more, because UEFA, the system controls that, no matter how powerful you are as an individual club. So I think that's an example. That's why I'm saying from the black perspective, why do we as black people, with 3% black people in the country, feel that if we get more black people into these positions, we can change things? You cannot change anything within an existing system. That's why, obviously, and it's not going to happen, as much as, you know, I know what you're like, and maybe I'm leading towards that total revolution. That ain't going to happen. So I just say, once we get rid of racism, sexism, homophobia, yeah, the majority of black people, women and gay people will still be exactly where they are. But it won't be because they're black, they're women, or they're gay. It'll be other challenges that we have based on the system that we live in. So that is where Graham probably felt within the system he could actually change it by being open and honest.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, with that critique that you, or the different criticism you received when you had the Three Lions on as opposed to the Mad Moose of Watford, do you think that was you know, yes, it's a step up and it's a different attitude and it's a different level of scrutiny and you're not the underdog, I take that point. Do you feel there was a racial component to that, or do you think it was the same kind of stick that Hoddle used to get as like something about, like, you know, they're luxury players, these good footballers?
Well, it depends on I didn't play as well for England as I did for Watford or for Liverpool, because the football was different anyway. Particularly when I played for Liverpool, it's completely different. So that's understandable. So I completely accept the criticisms that I didn't play as well for England as I did for Liverpool, because the football was different. So that's understandable. That's not an issue. But the one time where race did play a factor, or national identity, was when we played against San Marino, where from the start of the match, the whole stadium were booing me. And we won 5-0, 6-0. I never came off. I wasn't playing worse than anybody else. But what had happened was, in the Sunday before, Jimmy Greaves had done a piece, God rest his soul, and he's a nice man, but he'd done a piece on my commitment to England because I wasn't born in England. And the fact that when I used to have banter with Brian Robson about West Indies cricket teams, because I wanted West Indies to beat England in cricket, that kind of banter, you know, so that kind of thing. So how could I be committed to England? Because, you know, because there was question marks about why I wasn't playing well for England. It's like, because I'm not committed because A, I wasn't born here, and B, you know, when England played the West Indies at cricket and I have banter with Brian Robson. And in fact, yes, I did want West Indies to beat England at cricket. That doesn't mean I'm not committed to the England football team. But then that shows up the whole, how committed am I? And as I've always said, we are committed to whoever we choose or chooses us to be our allies, which means I use Stuart Pearce as an example. You know him, West Ham. Full quintessential Englishman, British Bulldog, wears heart on his sleeves, 69 caps for England. If Stuart Pearce had 68 caps for England and his 69th cap, his first cap, his 69th cap, magically, don't ask me how, it's just a question, had to be for France against England, Stuart would give 100% in that game. 100%, because that is who he is, a man. I have chosen to play for this team now. I've played for England 69 times, but if I've chosen to play for this team, I'm going to give 100% against England, because that's his professionalism. That's who he identifies with at that particular time. So I suppose because of the fact that I wasn't born in England probably led people to believe that.
Yeah, and I suppose that cricket test almost became a late 20th century English political maxim. Like, you know, I remember Norman Tebbit going, the cricket test for like non-white English people, which team is it, India now, or Pakistan or, you know, yeah, that's old school racism. Hey, so like, what do you think then, mate, of like there's a few sort of things in contemporary football which I know you touch on in the book. One, the incorporation of the Black Lives Matter movement, the cynicism initially of some fans towards the taking of the knee, and like incorporating, if you can, not wanting to speak for Les Ferdinand, but what I've picked up from watching Les Ferdinand speak is that he has some skepticism around the taking the knee movement. What are your feelings about that and that initial reaction from regular fans or whatever?
Well, first of all, the nuances around Black Lives Matter. For me, Black Lives Matter just means Black Lives Mattering. And it's not a question of which Black Lives Matter, but it seems to me, that's why I put about a bit in the book about which Black Lives Matter, because it seems that the Black Lives that matter are the elite Black lives. Because, of course, there are 400 girls who were taken from Nigeria not long ago, no one cares about. And you look what goes on, the devastation that's going on in Africa due to colonialism and the legacy of that. So I'm not blaming Black Africa, but I'm saying that it seems as if it's only the Black lives that matter are only the ones who, if you're attacked by a white policeman or you're a football player or an actor or a rap artist who can't get an Emmy, it seems to me that they're the only Black lives that matter. What about the Black lives in the inner cities that no one's talking about? So first of all, it's which Black lives matter. Now, secondly, so just like taking the knee has now, the question about taking the knee, it's not about why we're taking a knee. It's about whether we have the right to take the knee. So we've forgotten why we're taking a knee. So it's about, yes, I think we should. I think we shouldn't. I have the right to. No, you don't. Why are we taking a knee? Just like passing the red card down the line 25 years ago and the Champions League, which is still going on now, nothing has changed, but people are still doing it. So the people who push back, they have been fooled into thinking, because, of course, the majority of people who are booing him, let's be honest, if you're a football fan, you're working class. It's not a judgment, good or bad, but it's mainly working class football fans who are now booing, taking the knee, whatever. It's not a judgment on them at all, but that's what it is. They have been fooled that it's about Marxism. And I said a piece about, well, you know, working class people should be Marxist because Marxism is there to protect them. So, and I'm being facetious when I say this and being funny. So please do not take this seriously. But if you want to defund the police, a lot of working class people would be happy with defunding the police because they'll be able to get away with a lot more than if the police were there. However, defunding the police is not about not having security. Defunding the police is about using that money in other areas where it's more necessary. And also, if you got rid of poverty, then there would be less crime, then you need less police. So that is what Marxism is. It's not just about defunding the police and, you know, just having... So it's much more complicated than that. But it's a lot of people who want to push back because they really do not believe that I'm not saying they don't believe Black Lives Matter, but they don't believe there's an issue. They don't believe there's a problem. And it's for white working class people. And I'll tell you why I'm on white working class people's side. Because the whole idea of white privilege is 100% a thing. 100% a thing. But a white working class person who can't get a job, can't get a house, can't feed his family, he doesn't feel the benefit of his white privilege. How can he feel when he say to him, you're privileged because the police isn't going to stop you. And if you're going to a shop, no one's going to follow you. So that's white privilege. I can't afford to go into a shop because I've got any money. So the police can't stop me in a car. I can't afford a car. I can't afford a house. So they don't feel the benefit of white privilege. Black people see the benefit of white privilege because we're being stopped because of the color of our skin, X, Y, Z. So there, white privilege is a thing. But white working class people don't see it. We see it. So let's explain it to them. Now, how can you explain to a white working class person white privilege by giving them an example of a footballer who gets racially abused or a banana comes on the field once a week or he gets abused on Twitter, but he's on £100,000 a week, lives in a big house, drives a big car. He can go to any elite white circles, Downing Street. He can go to the front of the queue in any restaurant and any shop. And you say to the white underprivileged, the white working class man who wants everything that he has, says, see, you're better off than him. How can you empathize with that? How we should explain it is, all the negative aspects of your life that you go through. The black working class go through the exact same thing. Can't get jobs, can't get houses, can't feed their family. Plus, they have the added burden of the negative perception of them because they're black. Maybe you kind of empathize with that. And even if they don't believe that, the added burden of being black, or they may not understand it, if they say, well, if you're going through what I'm going through, can't get a job and houses, I empathize with you. And that is what should happen. But unfortunately, we're using it by showing the wrong examples of white privilege, of, not just, And that's why Marcus Rashford, when he did his underprivileged thing, shows what a powerful a footballer can do, to use his voice to talk about underprivileged rather than pointing the finger at Eastern European fans or some 12-year-old boy at Tottenham who makes a racist comment.
When you make that point of describing how much the economic working class have, regardless of racial, sexual or gender identity, it's a strong call for solidarity and for a different type of politics and a different type of conversation. And by promoting these ideas, like, you know, for example, the idea of, like, you know, of highlighting privileged people of colour and opposing that to the white working class experience, it kind of is useful in keeping the kind of divide and conquer mentality that imperialism has always been dependent on. John, another thing that's surprising, may I say, with your, I have to say, radical, and I mean that as a compliment, your radical political beliefs, they shouldn't be radical, they're normal common sense, but they're radical in terms of the way that the world functions, the institutions of media, politics and corporations. It's also surprising to me that you come from a military background and that you deeply, deeply love and admire your father. My assumption would be that your father, in order to succeed in the army, and I know I've got some great friends that have been in the military and are in the military actually, but like I would rather prejudicially perhaps think that someone that's achieved a lot in the military would be down with sort of uniform thinking. Talk to us about that.
Well, the reason is because while my father wanted to be in the army, my father was a brilliant person. When he was 14 years old, he was in the top 3 in his country in Trinidad educationally, and not the top 3%, the top 3 people for doing A-levels at 14. They were called hires. He did ancient Greek, he did classics, because he as an individual was enamored with those qualities to achieve despite his circumstance. And his father did that into him. His father was a civil servant. His father, when he was brought up his children, my father's sister was the first female judge in Trinidad. This is like 40 years ago, the first female judge, because his father said, we're going to become independent shortly, and my children have to be educated. So my grandfather would not let my father, my aunties, my uncles, who then became professors at university, clean their bedroom, clean their shoes, do any washing up. Him and my father's mother did all of that, and they said, you have to study, because this is the future of black people if you really want to get out of it. So, but my father, while he was strong enough, despite the environment, to do what he did, he understood that for the average black person, this is not what it is. So therefore, my father did a lot of work in Jamaica for underprivileged boys who will say, you know what you have to do? Go and cut the grass. Go and climb a tree and pick some mango so you can make a living for yourself. Because he understood that not everybody can do what he did, or everybody can do what Nelson Mandela or Obama did. So therefore, because not every white working class person is going to be the brightest. So when you talk about role models, who are our role models as black people? And what are we told? You know, footballers, actors, rappers, we're the role models. You go to where the power brokers are, who go to Harrow, Eton, Yale, Princeton in America. I don't think you go to Harrow and Eton and they're going to say their role models are Paul Gascoigne and Harry King. But we want our black role models to be able to box and fight, because we don't make decisions. So that's one thing. But my father, as much as he understood, so when he went to Sandhurst, he knew he had to volunteer for everything. He was the heavyweight boxing champion of Sandhurst. Never boxed. He played rugby for Sandhurst. Never played rugby. But he understood, as a black man, I'm going to be judged negatively. So therefore, I have to volunteer and be better than everybody else. Now, that from an individual perspective for aspirations is always good to give everyone. However, you can't then use as an example when a brilliant black person gets there, a brilliant woman gets there, and say, see, everything is equal opportunities, because they did it. So although he understood that he could do it, and maybe he told his children that we could do it also, and we have. My sister's got a PhD, my other sister's a lawyer. My cousin Tanya, Chuck Can, I don't even know, she's a federal judge. She's from Jamaica. She's a federal judge who put those 5 men in prison for the storming of the Capitol, so she's having a hard time. 2 gastroenterologists. My sons are all, my son's a doctor, daughter's a doctor, so we are educational. But that doesn't mean use us as an example for everybody. What we have to do is provide an environment down below for you to maximize your potential to make. So if all you can achieve is to be a postman, then you be a postman. And that's what my dad's attitude was. We were never elitist. For ourselves, maybe as individuals, because we knew we were given opportunities to be able to do that. But from the majority of people, they can't. So we have to give them an opportunity to maximize their potential to do whatever they can. And it's not Wakanda. You know, black people are still going to be struggling, but it won't be because they're black.
Mate, how did you get on in the sort of general ambience of the dressing rooms, Watford, Newcastle, Liverpool, given that you seem to be like a Michel Foucault-style cultural analyst?
Well, you know, I always made them feel uncomfortable. I always had conversations with them. You know, where all the banter started and stuff. I'd say, so why do you think that you're superior to me? because you're white. No, we don't. And why don't you see me as black? What is it that when you say you don't see me as black, what is it that you see? What is the black you see that I'm not? Because I don't smoke a spliff and have dreadlocks and have my jeans around my ass. Is that what black is to you? So, of course, while it started with a banter, they always avoided me because of course, it could either get into an argument, a discussion, or having a bit of a laugh. But I'd always have this conversation with them when they say, we don't see people as black. Or we say we people as the same. I say, you see people as the same. If a white person sees a black person as the same, there's only two possibilities of that. You've either brought black people up to your level to see them as the same because you see yourself in a particular position. You don't know where that is. So you either bring black people up to see them as the same, or you bring yourself down to the level as black people to see them as the same. And we know which one it is. Because when white people say we see black people as the same, if you see black people walking down the road in Brixton with dreadlocks, you don't see yourself like them. What you can do is raise him up to your level to then say, oh yeah, I see him as equal. But your initial thought is he's in a reduced state to begin with for you to even make that statement. So this whole idea of also, can black men make good managers? That is a racist question because it presupposes that there's a possibility that you can't be a good football manager because you're black. None of your other qualities, because the question is, can black men make good managers? So it presupposes that you may not be a good manager because you're black.
Yeah, I mean, that's sort of one of the most, from the outside, not being an expert or an experience in the manner you are, that's one of the most obvious ways.
Can I give you a quick example of why intersectionality is important?
Yes.
Because I did an interview with a female sports journalist, and she was asking the same question. Why aren't there many black managers? And I said, there are only two possibilities. The first one is that they are mainly unconsciously discriminated against, because any black manager gets a job at the club, all the fans want him to do well, without a shadow of a doubt. But when he doesn't do well, that's when the old unconscious perception of whether he could do the job in the first place kicks in. So they all support him. They support him at Celtic, wherever you go. So it's either that there's an unconscious bias towards them, or they're not good enough to do the job because they're black. And I said to her, which one is it? She goes, maybe there's a third one. I said, what's that? She goes, maybe they don't want to be managers. And I said, oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Just like women don't want to be sports journalists. And then she knew what I was saying. She went, okay, yes, I take your point. Because when it doesn't affect us, we're not interested. That's why intersectionality is the most important dynamic to the solution.
Yes, and it's most significantly of all. I once spoke to the gay rights activist Peter Tatchell, and he said that, even though there have been incredible achievements in the world of civil rights, around race and obviously in his case around sexuality, he said that in his personal experience, he'd noticed that whenever you get near economics as an activist, shit gets real. The kickback comes.
Well, you don't want to disturb the status quo, do you?
Yeah,
so they'll allow certain concessions to certain people and say, you can come into the party, and all the elite are up there in the party looking down on everyone else, and they're all fighting down below because they've all convinced each other that it's the other people down below which is the reason for their discontent. I
think I can feel from your vocal tone that maybe you've got to wrap up, but I feel like one of the other things you talked about is a sort of a common modern parable around race, the Raheem Sterling story. That when Raheem pulled out that those two comparative stories, the reporting on the purchasing of house by young footballers, in the case of the white footballer, well done boy, done good, and in the case of the black footballer, you flash little bastard, as a brilliant example of the way the unconscious racist biases and the way that they operate. Raheem Sterling, I noted for a while made himself kind of untouchable, but I thought because people like the media oh shit, this kid knows what he's talking about. So now that Raheem, there's question marks again over Raheem because of he's not playing at City and stuff like that. I'm starting to see the emergence of the same unconscious tendency in the reporting around Raheem.
If you want an example of why football can do nothing, it's because when Gareth, and I think it was very disrespectful for Gareth to talk about this new diverse England team. I played for England in '83. We had 5 black players on the pitch. In Rio Ferdinand's time, they had 7, 8 black players on the pitch. So why now are we trying to give this illusion that this is a new diverse England team as if black players hadn't played before? So I think that is quite disrespectful. But of course, we're trying to give that illusion that this is something new. And of course, in the Euros, it was all, look what they've done. The whole nation comes together. After they missed a penalty, I'm on a WhatsApp group with lots of my black friends. As soon as they missed a penalty, the WhatsApp group said, they're going to get it. So what we're actually saying is that we will believe, trust, and support the black players as long as they do well. But if they do badly, you see what happens. And that is not a solution. So the solution isn't saying we use these black footballers as examples, because what you're saying to them is that you better keep doing well, because as soon as you're not doing well, things are going to change. That is no solution to the problem.
Yeah. Conditional non-racism is racism. I feel like really, John, what we're getting near to is you cannot change these superficial aspects of racism, i.e. the cartoonish racism of Eastern Bloc or shouting mad lunatic racists, without making fundamental economic and political changes to the entire system. And because of that, only symbolic change will be offered, because the alternative will affect the interests of the powerful.
Absolutely, but we have to start with ourselves to, first of all, own it within ourselves that we are racially biased to a certain degree, sexist, homophobic, and not just wait for the ones who get caught, point the finger at them and say everything's okay as long as we get rid of them. Because that's what we do. We're now teaching people how not to get caught by the language they use. And so we're teaching people how not to get caught. And as long as you don't get caught, things can stay the same. That's why we have to change people's perceptions. So a lot of black people say the narrative should be, I don't care how you see me, I care how you treat me. It should be the other way around. Because that is only short term. Once you say, I don't care how you see me, I care how you treat me, we can force people to treat us equally, but then they will find ways not to treat you unequally, and it's not going to be illegal. Yes. So, for example, you're not allowed to go at football matches anymore, make monkey noises. But if a player comes to take a throw in and someone does that to him, and he calls the police, he's going to go, my armpit scratching me, Mr. Officer. Is that illegal? We'll make armpit scratching illegal. Okay, we'll boo. Booing is not illegal. The whole stadium can boo a black player. We know what he's doing, but it's not illegal. Make booing illegal. Okay, we'll clap. There's always going to be ways. Whereas if we say, I don't care how you treat me, I care how you see me, at first we'll be treated unequally. But the more we then start to see people as equal, we'll think, well, there's no need for us to treat them unequal, and there's no laws necessary put in place for us to treat them unequal, because we see them as equal. Because, of course, after the American Civil War, black people got the vote. Black people were senators because, of course, that's more to do with politically, wanted to give the South a slap on the hand and get more power by black votes. Then as time went by, where they knew that white people had to come back together, then the Jim Crow laws came in, because they disenfranchised black people after that, because they never ever saw them as equal. You have to see people as equal before you treat them as equal.
That's a very beautiful and interesting perspective. John, from talking to you, what I get is, like, as a person that enjoyed watching you as a player, that what you brought to the game, like as a fan, it seemed like ahead of its time, and like there was a sort of a complexity and nuance to the way that you used the ball, the way that you moved, the way that you passed, the way that you scored goals. And it's difficult now not to imagine that that's an expression of some kind of essence that is now finding its expression, and of course I don't know what you were like as a person then, now finding its expression through your communication, through your opinions. That it's the same essence, it seems, that found its expression as a player, can now through your oratory.
I was the same person back then. There are two aspects to everybody. There's who you are and what you are. What I was John Barnes, a footballer. If you're a Man United fan, I was crap. If you're the Liverpool fan, I was good. Regardless, I am who I am, the footballer. But who I am was never what I was. I never thought about the adulation that I got and how special I am. I thought exactly the same way as I think now. I was the exact same person as I was now. And now that I've finished playing football, I can continue to be who I am. But unfortunately, it would have been great had I still been a footballer now. That's what I'm saying. Imagine if footballers now were to talk about real problems within their own communities, with the power they actually have to make a difference, like Marcus Rashford, instead of being allowed just to point the finger at Eastern Europeans or racist football fans in this country. Yes. What could be done? He changed government policy towards school dinners in 1 week.
Amazing. It's amazing. I imagine that you'll have good relationships with players that are playing still, and a mentor in some would be my guess, and that's I hope that's true anyway. John, it's amazing to talk to you. Can we put in I'd love to get a chance for us to chat for an hour and a half, couple of hours when you have time about
Someone's
the book.
already been in touch with me about that, so we're just going to try and get a date in, because I'd love to come on.
Excellent. Well, good luck with the rest of your day up there, and it's a real joy and a real privilege. Thanks, John.
Okay, mate. All the best,
man. Take it easy. John Barnes.
Wow.
Well, you can see why John Barnes isn't regularly on Talk Sport, because he would say, this is owned by Sky Sports. Yeah. Right, the advertisers on this, the government have recently passed. John Barnes is clever and intense.
Oh, yeah, amazing. That was stunning. A kind of joy to listen to.
You couldn't do football, mate, there.
No, you couldn't. Look, I think I was all the way through. I was like, people need to hear this. And I'm glad that obviously John Barnes is doing loads of things, but I'm glad that there's an additional platform for this kind of information. It's vitally important. So yeah, I thought it was fascinating, and every new point he brought up was like, oh my God, wow.
What's good as well is that it's coming from a cultural perspective that's, what do I want to say? Relevant in because like when he's talking about academic stuff, the examples he's using are from sport, and when he's talking about sport, the way he's talking about it is academically and empirically.
Yep.
What do I want to say? Sort of undergirded.
Yeah, it was all totally relatable to anyone, and certainly football fans.
We'll put that out probably on its own somewhere.
Yeah, good idea. That was brilliant.
Was it as good as my football breakdown? And which will do more to bring about harmony in this world? John Barnes' critical understanding as an elite athlete of the complexities of the subject of race, or me saying that Paul Pogba's got futuristic hair? We'll have to let time tell that.
Yep.
Who knows what world we will be born into? I'll tell you another thing. We can't use that Graham Taylor thing no more. I talked myself out of it. Remember we were using do I not like that? Because that is Graham Taylor. And I recognise that is, in a sense, taking joy in mocking a man who had a deep well of a soul. And I never again will participate in that.
Yeah, if you found out something like that about Kevin Keegan, then you wouldn't ever play that Kevin Keegan quote again.
And there probably is something about that about Kevin Keegan.
He's saying I love it. That's an okay thing. Right?
Oh, but it's the context. It's
the context
way in which it was used.
Is like Newcastle were under pressure from a resurgent Man United having led the Premier League for the majority of the season, and then Newcastle started to give away sort of soft games, drop points, and Alex Ferguson, manager of United, went, oh, well, they've got, he said teams try harder against Man United than they do Newcastle, and so Leeds probably won't try as hard against Newcastle in the next game. And like he said, I'm going to watch a tape of it and see if they've tried as hard. And Kevin Keegan, this was a deliberate attempt to provoke Kevin Keegan, which thoroughly succeeded, to the point where Kevin Keegan on the telly went, "You got to send Alex Ferguson a tape, and you got to send him a tape of this. I will love it. I will love it if we beat them." So that love came from a place of
changes how I hear that. I thought he was just having a nice time.
That was a man, I think, on the precipice of a mental breakdown.
Well, certainly that's how it was used. Certainly, yeah, to kind of paint him in a light of he's lost it.
But even when you watch it, he's that sort of, he could cry. You know what I mean? He's got so much intensity to him. That was pretty amazing with John Barnes, wasn't it? Because I suppose that's what I got from the book, mate. It's like, oh shit, this is not just like, oh, I noticed people do this and this is what I reckon. It's like a very well, but let's face it. That's a unique history to come from Jamaica under what sounds like from a lineage of serious people that were like, we're not taking no shit, we're going to grow our kids good. Makes you realise how important it is to raise your children with a vision. Those children were raised with a vision of, listen, stuff's going to go down, you best get ready. And they were willing to make sacrifice. I mean, it's like biblical principles are involved. And then to come to the country and become a footballer, a top footballer for the country, a very particular type of footballer, at a time, perhaps there's not ever been a time where race was the way that it was, divisive, where people were amending, adjusting, understanding, and all the emergence of these kind of gestures and that kind of stuff instead of tackling the it's weird, man. It's sort of, funnily enough, a lot of these books about anarchism that I'm reading at the moment, thankfully they're quite little books, really line up with
because it comes down to economics ultimately, I guess, doesn't it? I mean, that's ultimately what John
and
Barnes
critiques
is
of systems of the media is a system, and of course, yeah, you're right, economics, because all of these systems are, if you take away the economic component, they will alter. There's this bit in the one I read yesterday where it goes, the sort of president of a French TV company sort of said in an interview 10 years ago, maybe 20 years ago, he goes, the function of our channel is to make the audience receptive to the commercials and advertisements. We have the mental attitude that we're watching a program and that the advert is an interruption. But what we're doing is we're watching adverts and the program is an interruption.
And you know what you don't get in this podcast yet, Ross?
What?
Adverts.
Yes, until we get some
We're welcoming any sponsors.
So we've got to keep ourselves in replica shirts, don't we? All right, so listen, let's go back to the football breakdown.
Russell's football breakdown. This is Russell's breakdown.
Russell's breakdown.
Now,
like
one thing
Don't know. We're going to have to get rid of that
bit. Liverpool. Not really.
Come on, Ross. Get with it, mate. You're tired from the interview.
I've just been through a meal with John Barnes there. Ben Foster was in goal and they lost 5-0.
They did.
That's Ben Foster, former guest of the show.
Yeah. Do you think this is a hangover from the show, do you think?
I think he's still grappling with Jenny May Finn's objectification of him.
Could be
me?
That. Yeah.
You said you fancied him.
Absolutely.
You asked me if I fancied him.
And you said yes.
You pervert. Now Ben can't keep goal well.
Or maybe
How many goals is it going to be next week?
10? What are you going to say about Ben now?
I was going to say, is that a compliment for me?
In a way, yeah. You've got inside him like a devil woman.
Or is he embarrassed about the backhanded compliment?
I don't think that bothered him one bit.
No.
I think he'd dish them out all day long in his
Absolutely.
great big styrofoam glove like a big Mickey Mouse. No, I love Ben Foster. Bobby Firmino, a lot of joy in him.
Absolutely.
Full of joy.
Big old smile. There was that thing that a couple of years ago, wasn't there, with his teeth whitening that people talked about, the Bobby Firmino level, that apparently, I don't know if this is true or not, but there was a story that when Bobby Firmino went to get his teeth whitened, he asked for a level above the highest level of white.
This is the charts, Bobby. This is normal teeth, right? So you can see your teeth colours that now. These are very white teeth.
Yep.
I call this Vernon Kay. This
Ross from Friends.
This is Ross from Friends. Like, we don't recommend going above that. And then this is as white as it's possible to have your teeth.
Yeah.
More, Bobby. He went higher than that. He went beyond. He took it to 11 in a Spinal Tap way.
Reference, yeah.
I noticed Ben Foster seemed particularly upset by the third goal.
Which one was that one?
It was
that the one where Salah was actually offside?
I just made me wonder if you are a goalkeeper, once you've let him free, that might be like, oh, this is not good. Like 1-0, all right, a mistake. 2-0, oh, drat. 3-0, I shouldn't be doing this for a job. I wonder what goes through your mind at the point of a third goal. I wonder if there are sort of essential meanings to certain goals.
I see, and to certain scorelines.
Yes.
Because the
Like
difference
they've got an
between 3-0 and 4-0 is big.
Big.
The difference between 4-0 and 5-0 is even bigger.
Yeah, 5-0. 5-0.
I know it sounds
been
ridiculous,
smashed.
Jen, but it
Isn't anything over 3 just loads?
yeah, but it's
When you see
interesting.
a 4,
It's
it looks
interesting.
weird.
Yeah, but there's something about 5, and obviously when you get to kind of 6 territory, then it's
Yeah, and because you can remember those.
Yeah, you
like,
remember
the 7-2,
That's
Villa,
right.
Liverpool, the 9-0,
9-0s.
Palace. That was years ago.
Yeah.
They sort of stay in your mind as weird.
Yeah.
It's like, that's enough
But
now.
Watford weren't far off that the other day. I watched the match, and they were dreadful. They kind of came alive in maybe the last 10-15 minutes, start to apply a bit of pressure, but Liverpool could have had 8. They could have definitely had 8.
It feels like Brentford could have beat Chelsea.
They absolutely could have.
Don't
beat
happen
Chelsea.
that often, does it? Does it happen that often that you lose when you should have won?
That's a good point. I don't know. I mean, Chelsea. To say lucky is probably going a bit too far, but they were heavily relying on
was
Mendy.
amazing in goal, right?
I mean, that was a world class save. That overhead kick would have been like goal of the season. It became save of
Who
the
was
season. I don't know the
weren't your
Brentford
mate?
player.
Tony, who you're always on
Ivan
about.
Toney. No, it actually wasn't him.
Lukaku, as you've been calling him. The new Lukaku.
No, but they were phenomenal, Brentford. What a ride it must be to be a Brentford fan.
Yeah, it's a disgusting ride.
Jen's laughing at it. It must have been amazing. Because I don't know if you saw the VT on Match of the Day 2 yesterday about Brentford. Yesterday on Sunday, and it was all about the ownership of Brentford.
It's a good ownership model.
Absolutely fantastic ownership
Because Dean
model.
Smith was their last manager. Now this guy, Simon Jordan, says he's the real deal.
Yeah, Thomas Frank. Yeah, he's fantastic. But the running of the club, the way that they've operated, the profits that they've made on players, picking players from all over Europe, from lower leagues, and like transforming them into top players, selling them for huge profits.
Ollie Watkins was found by some bins. Hold on a minute, this lad's just by the bins. Come here. He's excellent.
We've sold him for 30 million. Yeah.
Saeed Benrahma,
Yeah.
he was in a bird's nest.
That's right.
They captured him from a bird's nest.
In Nice.
Get him. Now West Ham have got him.
Yeah. But yeah, fantastic club.
Now to Wolves versus Villa.
Go on.
Does Jenny Mayfin's favourite player, Adama Traoré, grease his arms up?
He does.
Why?
Does he?
I heard Michael Richards saying that he does, because I think Michael Richards used to do the same.
He greased
thing.
his arms.
He's got massive arms as well. The two of them have both got massive arms.
Well, have you got to slink by someone? Why are you greasing them up?
I don't know. I mean, Michael Richards said it was because he wanted to make them look better.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like a vanity.
Well, they look
He's
amazing.
very perfect looking.
Yeah, he's great looking, isn't he? No, he is.
Well,
I mean, there's no doubt about
watch
it.
for a dip of form for Adama Traoré right now, because he's suffered under the lens of Jen's coruscating lens.
Well, look, if to kind of talk football, if Adama Traoré, if they added 8 goals, 9, 10 goals a season to his game, he'd be worth 60, 70, 80 million.
Why?
I reckon. Well, because he doesn't score, but he has all the other attributes. Did you see? I mean, we covered the kind of run he made the other day, but he's a fantastically skilled player.
Running.
If he scored 10 a season, he'd be worth 60 million.
That's all you got to do, Traoré, to be worth 60 million. Now, why has our friend at Villa, Foo Fighter drummer, been made to wear an embarrassing Mac by Dean Smith? That's to tone him down.
Yeah.
He's been toned down in a Mac.
Yeah, and now they're losing.
Get that Mac off him. Put him in a sleeveless Metallica t-shirt.
Foo Fighters, yeah.
You want him to have his top off and his nipples pierced.
Right.
I see a run of 6 consecutive victories for Villa.
You think there's a correlation between his mood and the way that Villa play?
His mood and his physical appearance.
His appearance. Sure.
Let him loose. Let him Keith Moon out.
Yeah.
Let him go for it. I say have him no trousers and pants on.
You always say that.
I know.
You said that's how I should do this podcast.
I don't know why I keep saying it about everyone, Gal. Perhaps I've got something I need
Interesting
to
investigate. Though, because it's on one hand maybe a ridiculous point, but one thing I thought the other day was Nuno. Tottenham has started winning again since he ditched the bomber jacket. Don't know if you noticed, but he's
that suede bomber jacket.
Yeah,
he's
ditched it because he had that on for the first 3 games, which they won. Then they lost, I think, the next 3, and then he changed it, and now they've won the last couple. So. Is it the jacket?
Bad bomber jacket.
And also, speaking of clothing, why does David Moyes wear a tracksuit during the game?
And then changes to a suit? It's very interesting.
So all these... And Hasselhurtel, why has he gone from a tracksuit during the game to now wearing a waistcoat? And he looks like he's dressed for Christmas or something. Have you seen the way he dresses now? I mean, it's...
Christmas, you mean? Like, informal, but this is a special occasion.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. That's
this
right.
Is
so
special.
It's not full suit, but it's like you're aware that this is a day that we need to mark in some way.
Jesus was born this day.
Exactly.
Put a bloody waistcoat
on. It looks ever so nice.
God manifest himself in human form. Least you can do is wear a little bloody bodkin.
That was the thing I didn't like most about Christmas Day. That I was expected to...
We got to wear something you got that day, didn't you?
No, I never got smart clothes for Christmas. Mate, what kind of Christmas presents were you getting? Here's a tie.
Well, I got a fort one year. That was pretty good. A fort.
What's he saying, Jen? No one knows yet.
A fort I got.
Is he saying Thor?
You dare look at me as if I'm in a jar.
I mean,
you looked at me like I was in the jar then, Gal. I've never felt that before. Then you looked at Jen, who was like your accomplice in the lab.
I mean, I generally still don't know what he actually said.
It could have been fork.
Fort. For the soldiers.
A fort.
Oh, a fort. Oh,
yeah.
Fortress.
I know, it sounds like a thought or a...
I got a fort one year. That was a good year. I got a Batman outfit another year. I didn't wear that. I did wear it, actually. Then as you
Hang on, do you think a Batman costume is dressing up smart?
Yes, I do. For Batman it is. You can't fight crime in a waistcoat. The Joker.
Is that why that funeral went so badly?
A lot of people thought I weren't taking it seriously.
Why did you come in a Spider-Man costume and what's all that white gunk everywhere?
Well, I can explain that later. But the Spider-Man costume I did out of respect for the deceased.
Silly,
well done.
Silly.
Good joke there. Good joke. I think David Moyes changed because I think he likes to be in a tracksuit on the touchline so he can express himself.
Yes.
And let's never forget that David Moyes delivered groceries to the elderly during the COVID pandemic lockdown. Let's never forget that.
That doesn't include himself, did it?
He kept some back.
That's just called shopping.
How dare you imply that David Moyes...
I delivered groceries to the elderly. What do you do, David? I went to Sainsbury's. That was a bad impression.
Straight back home afterwards. He looks younger by the day.
Yes, he does. And that's
because of the pressures
pressure's released. I think the wrinkles are...
pressure. Like in Shawshank Redemption where you're marking off days in prison.
Yes, but he has fewer...
He marks a wrinkle every time West Ham miss a penalty in the last minute.
But then he seems to be able to wipe it away.
They're the wipe away wrinkles.
Yeah.
How many do you think...
He does look
Do you
better.
think he has any plastics, any beauty treatments? I can't imagine Moyes getting some Botox. He's too down to earth.
Not Moyes. Although I didn't used to think that about Souness, and then Jamie Redknapp once told me potentially.
On now, gal. Like Souness, he did suddenly start...
I heard from a source that Souness was incredibly vain.
Well, there was that time when Souness emerged. He looked like someone that was like from a David Bowie video.
Yeah.
Like during the World Cup, he was like an albino mouse.
Yeah, because he'd grown his beard, full beard, big tan, extra white teeth.
Beyond Firmino teeth.
Firmino teeth, yeah, exactly. He did look, I mean, he looks great. Like, he looks great. I'm not going to argue with it. I look at it and I don't think, oh, what's he done?
I wouldn't like to be, here's people I wouldn't be like be shouted at. Souness?
No.
Or Danny Murphy? I don't
Danny Murphy?
Oh, when you get, I told you before, you get serious. I don't want to be shouted at by anyone, really. I didn't like it when you looked at me like I was in a jar just because I got a fort for Christmas. Okay, now we've got to cover the Newcastle match. What a great vibe at the beginning of the game. What a nice goal.
Yes, wasn't it a shame
By
that
Callum Wilson.
I mean, speaking of lines that have been added to people's faces, I mean, I know I keep like returning to the True Geordie thing of Steve Bruce, and he was dead against it. But I
actually nearly did something this week. I nearly asked Jen to do a job, but I thought better of it. Oh. I said, Jen, I want you to get, I nearly said this, Jen, I want you to get the last couple of times that Steve Bruce has spoken to the media, and then I want you to put the music from the Hovis bread adverts underneath Steve Bruce speaking, because there's such lament and tragedy in the persona of Bruce. I don't want to see anyone suffer like that.
I just don't think it's fair. Like, it's just not fair. You can't.
Is this the Hovis?
That's the Hovis advert.
Been
trying especially. Like, I mean, he just looks shattered and battered, doesn't he?
I think it's too far. I saw Gary Neville saying this week on Sky that if this was any other area of work, professional work, that this would be termed abuse.
Yes.
But it's just, I mean,
like when you looked at me like I was in a jar because I said fort for Christmas.
He's not going to let that go.
Yeah, like it would be termed abuse.
Yeah,
because it's like, oh, this guy, get him. Let's sit him down in a chair.
And the way that, like, I also Jamie Carragher was saying about the new. I mean, this is one reason, and there's all sorts of controversy around the takeover at Newcastle, obviously. But one thing that Carragher said was that the new Newcastle ownership fed stories to the media this week, Sky Sports included, that they were going to sack Steve Bruce. and Carragher said that is not a way to run a club. He said, if we're to get any idea of the way that Newcastle are going to be run in the future from this first week and the way that they have fed rumours to the media about sacking Steve Bruce, he said that then I don't have high hopes for Newcastle's
they've
future.
come in a little bit excited, haven't they?
Yeah.
Like when they were sat there and Amanda Staveley, who looks, you know, like if you see... Yeah, a lion. Yeah, I thought more like the lion one out of
Lion. You're right.
Chitara out of like
Thundercats,
as if she's a superhero. That her superhero identity is as a lion. That's what I felt. Or Thundercat. That Amanda Staveley, Thundercat chair lady.
But which is, I mean,
they were all very excited, and like I saw her, like I think for the Newcastle goal, she jumped up and she turned to the geezer,
hugged him.
But he wasn't ready for the hug,
Right.
So she turned back, face forward, clappity clap.
Yeah.
And I realised that when I go football, like in a way, the goals sometimes I find it awkward.
Well, yeah,
I just go up and I punch the air and I go, yes, right. I love that bit. Sometimes if I'm with my mate James, he'll go for a cuddle. My dad, he's not normally going to go for a cuddle there, but it can be a hard cuddle because you're also sort of jumping up and down.
Yeah.
Like you're sort of going, like vibrating. I don't like to cuddle someone like that because their collarbone and shoulder could go into your jaw and teeth. You need a gum shield in for that. So celebrating a goal can be difficult. So there's a bit of sympathy for these players.
But with you though, there must always be a bit of you thinking, I'm going to be on camera celebrating this goal. Is that because obviously I don't have to think about that.
Everything I do, it's on camera as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, I see. It's a permanent state.
The camera is the sweet mind of God within and without, the immanent and transcendent God forever with us. At least I've learned to translate it to that rather than thinking, imagine you're on the telly to cope with life because you're better if you're being filmed, you manage it better. But like the thing is because it's a spontaneous moment of joy. And like, I just feel... The cuddle, she messed up that cuddle pretty bad. If you go back to the footage,
but it's signalling. It's all messaging, isn't it?
Yeah, signalling. Look, we're so enthusiastic. Yeah. I've worn a black and white dress. Look.
Yeah, I mean, they must have known that game. Cameras on them the whole time. Multiple cameras. Everything that they do is under scrutiny.
How quickly will they take down the Sports Direct branding? Do you think?
Good point.
They're going to leave it to the end of the season. I bet Ashley done it as a part of the deal.
That would be amazing.
End of the season.
Oh,
damn
that's
you.
a little dig, isn't it?
Yeah, pressured. That's what I put. Look, pressured celebrations of the new board. Heading rule: don't bounce the ball off Endembele's head for a celebration because they're thinking of reducing heading, aren't they? Because it's bad for you. So there you go. All right, that's the end of my football.
Is
breakdown.
that it?
Oh God, it all just disappeared.
And
I mean,
it's about 100 minutes.
Yeah, we
The
need.
podcast.
Moyes looks younger.
He
I
does.
like Ogbonna's eyebrows.
He's Italian.
I know, yeah.
I was surprised.
Bowen still needs to kick it harder. And I say, really, the top flight is really 2 leagues because there is, like, let's face it, the top 4 this season, unless things go really badly wrong at United, will be City, Chelsea, Liverpool,
but
United. Maybe what you think Leicester could take?
Yeah.
United
Well,
out.
I think fourth is up for grabs now, unless anything kind of fundamentally changes.
Now,
at United.
I say that next league after that league is, you got to say Tottenham.
Yeah,
You've got to say
I think you do.
Leicester.
Yep.
Then I think Everton and West Ham.
I think West
And
Ham
maybe
over Everton.
Villa.
I'm sure about Villa.
So those 4. So our real league is Everton. So when we play Everton, Spurs, Leicester, these are our real because Man United. Like but you think Man United could drop out?
I do.
That'll be a disaster. He'll be sacked. I think he'll be sacked by Christmas.
No,
possibly anyway.
According to Gary Neville, Man United are sticking with him till the end of the season.
Really?
Definitely, yeah.
No matter what.
Yeah, no matter what, because this whole strategy, certainly around transfers and the kind of vision for this season, is dependent on Ollie being at the helm. I think the hope from United will be that they can win some kind of cup, anything at all.
I can't believe that Van Gaal didn't work out. Mourinho didn't work out.
Yeah, I suppose the thing about, but I was having
Why
this
didn't they
conversation.
get Tuchel? Why didn't they get?
Well, the thing is, I mean,
Klopp?
this is why people talk about the mismanagement of United, because you could level at Van Gaal that he was already past his prime quite easily. You could level the same about Mourinho. I mean, hence Mourinho's record subsequent to that job. Even Moyes, you could say the decision to get Moyes was not a forward-thinking football decision.
It was a sentimental one.
It was based on Ferguson's choice, wasn't it?
One.
Even what Moyes has done at West Ham. Now, it's amazing, but what he's done is he's shored them up defensively.
Yeah.
He's made them very hard to beat.
It's almost like, I don't know if this is a true thing, but the way it's perceived is there's some managers are good at dealing with, like, it's a bit of a struggle, and they're not so good with lavish.
Yeah.
Get who you want.
Yeah, he's not a progressive manager, is he, Moyes? And that is not a criticism. That's not what West Ham need. West Ham needs stability and to make the best use of that squad, and that is exactly what he's doing. But for United, it didn't work for kind of obvious reasons. Maybe potentially egos involved in that, but huge players at United. But Man United have not had a progressive manager.
Right.
They've
not had Pochettino, but in a way, Pochettino. They need someone who's won the Bundesliga,
probably, yeah,
or won La Liga. Simeone.
I think Simeone coming on.
That's the most
to the
obvious
Premier League,
one.
He's an amazing man.
But isn't he defensive minded?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And like United, we need wingers.
Yeah, but what they need more than anything is a ethic.
Stop
and
losing.
a vision. I think that the thing that you say about Simeone is he knows how to get a team together.
I think Simeone, you do not F with Simeone.
You do not.
Like, that's a guy who's...
No, talking about egos in that United side,
intense.
they're not going to do
You're
well
out.
with Simeone.
And he's already managing like Griezmann, Suarez.
Yep. Big players. He'd be fascinating. I mean, I don't want it to happen, but...
It would be a different type of United. Perhaps he would say he would amend things, but someone who's won La Liga with Atletico, he's the one. They've got to get him. They've got to go all out for Simeone. There's no one else.
No.
There's no one else that can do it. Anything else is a gamble. Although maybe... I'm finishing on an outlandish football record.
I think, can I say something?
Go on,
you
Jen.
do your fixtures and your results.
And I'm busting for a week.
Yeah,
Okay, it's Football Predictor. Remember to review us. Here's some things. Right, question of the week. Sam J said, Man United Leicester this weekend. Not 30 seconds after Rashford equalised. Mid-celebration, I turned back to the TV to see Vardy's trolley one home to return the lead to Leicester. I was left suspended with my arms in the air, my jaw on the floor, some sort of dumb pose, as I watched a group of wolves rip my pack to death just after we'd found some berries. The sweet taste of berries, but a fleeting pleasure that turned to ash in my mouth.
Ross, we're not on an actual deadline. You don't...
He needs to go to the toilet.
Oh, that's this deadline, right?
When I was 17, says JCV and 4 in Nadra on Instagram. I was inebriated when watching Blackburn with my dad and brother. I was half asleep and the ball was heading in the net right in front of us. I stood and cheered only to realise it was the opposition who had scored. My brother still enjoys bringing this up every now and then. I'm now at the point where I'm no longer embarrassed by it and enjoy bringing it up myself. Yeah, because like, sometimes that can happen. Let's say if something's offside, a more subtle thing, you know, like, no, that's offside. What are you cheering that for? You know, it can be a lot of pressure. Hull City FA Cup final, says J.H. Milson. Gareth will understand. Was that your moment, Gal?
Yeah, the question was high, your like most immediate high and low, essentially within a game of football or anything to do with football. And so, yeah, Hull City going 2-0 up in that FA Cup final and then losing it 3-2 was easily my worst. Yeah,
it'd be awful.
Dreadful.
Right, so let's look at our predictions for last week, and then I'll do your predictions for this week. But I think after the predictions from last week, I'm going to have to go for a week, so I'm busting. All right, so let's just run through them.
Yeah.
It was Watford v Liverpool. I predicted 2-0. Gareth predicted 2-1. Jenny May Finn says she predicted 2-1, and the actual score is 5-0. I'm the closest there, so I should get some.
That is not the rules, Russell.
Oh, isn't it? Well,
if you get the result right, you get a point.
Simply not the rules.
If you get who wins?
The closest.
No.
Okay, Villa v Wolves. I predicted 3-0. Gareth 2-2. Jenny May Finn 1-0 away win. It was actually 3-2. So Jenny May Finn wins the points on that. Leicester v United. I predict draw. Gal predicts draw. Jenny May away win. None of us get nothing out of that. 4-2 home win. Man City versus Burnley. Russ predicts 4-1. Gal predicts 4-0. Jen predicts 2-0. Jen
all 3 points.
But like, yeah, except like Jenny's doing well, isn't she?
Yeah,
she should be kicked out. Norwich versus Brighton. Old Russ predicts 2-0 away win. Gal predicts 1-0 away win. Jen 1-0 home win. Actual 0-0. We're all as wrong as each other. Southampton v Leeds. I predict 3-2 away win. Gal predict 2-1 home win. Jenny away win 2-0. Actual 1-0. So only Gal gets anything from that. Brentford v Chelsea. I predict 2-1. to Brentford, like the fool I am. Gareth 2-0 away, Jen 2-1. It's a 1-0 thing. So it's 1-0 is reality. Reality is 1-0.
So Gareth gets the point.
All right, Gal, but only just though. And who is the closer? Because Jenny
it's
got it as well.
Closest.
Closest doesn't matter.
If you guess the result.
It's just result.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then it's more points if you get it spot on,
I
Chris.
forgot to give myself some points.
Arsenal Palace. I predict 3-1. Gareth 1-0. Jenny 1-0 away. Actual 2-2 late goal. I was so close to winning that one. Okay, so hold on. Let's have a look at the league table. So the league table.
I think I forgot to give myself 3 points.
Well, we'll come back.
Gareth,
to
you
that.
got 33 points.
33
You're
points.
on 7. Right, why? Did you go back and retrospectively give your points for the previous 2 games? Well, you just guessed them.
No, I didn't do any. I'm starting late with a handicap.
Well, hold on a minute. You're nearly catching up to me. And you've not had two
you haven't
rounds.
really got any 3s.
Gareth's 33 first. Gareth's running away with it. And I'm 6. Look, right. So in our mini league, Gareth's top of the league, 33 points. Russell, second, 16 points. Jen coming up hard, 7 points.
Yeah.
Okay, right, guys. Gareth, why don't you guys do this, and I'll do all mine after my week.
We're doing fixtures.
Yeah, we've got it's part of the show, baby.
Oh wow.
We can't spend our whole time trying to undo every single system. Right, so you can talk.
Are we keeping this bit in?
It's at the end, so.
Who's still listening? Yeah. Let's be honest.
You need to get the pen out.
Get the pen out. Oh,
yeah.
I see. I'm not as good without Ross. Let's be honest.
Come on, bring out the charm.
Oh, the charm.
Gareth the talker.
Right. Sorry about this. Anyone who is listening.
Maybe there's like 1,000 people listening. Hello.
That's a lot of pressure. So we have Friday, Arsenal Villa. Django.
I'm going to go 2-1 Arsenal.
2-1 Arsenal. Nice. I am going to say... God, that's a tricky one. I am going to say... 1-1. We'll come back to Ross.
What's the next one?
This is... We might need to
like we're on Radio 4
cut some air out of this, I think.
Why is the energy...
So, Chelsea-Norwich. Jen.
Well, Chelsea are going to win, aren't they?
Go on.
2-0 Chelsea.
2-0 Chelsea. I'm going to say 3-0 Chelsea.
Oh.
Crystal Palace Newcastle.
1-0 Crystal Palace.
1-0. I'm going to say 2-1 Crystal Palace.
It's funny because I'm going from nothing when I'm thinking about it.
You're doing great, Jen.
Thanks.
Everton, Watford.
Well, because of Ben Foster,
Go on.
who I love,
Yep.
I'm going to go 3-0 to the other team, Everton.
Are you saying Watford are winning?
No, Everton.
You're saying Everton 3-0.
Yeah, is that good one?
Right. Russell's returned with his second breakfast.
It's like we're on Radio 4.
Yeah, it's gone. The atmosphere's gone, Russ.
Yeah, that's right. See, because I've got energy, ain't I?
Yeah.
Vibrant. Right, let's put some energy into the show,
Yeah.
you couple of little nerds. I bet you started talking about Scotland v the Faroe Islands again, didn't you? Well, the Faroe Islands, you've got to consider. Oh no, Adama Traoré, he's like a mammy. Right, now, let's get on with this. Oh, and you've only even done a few results, you little pair of nerfs. Right, Everton v Watford, you ain't predicted your result.
You just need to
Wait, you put
why
mine
don't you
in,
put
didn't
your
you?
results
Oh,
in?
catch us up. All right, Arsenal v Villa. As it's obvious.
all confident now.
Okay.
He's going to copy.
Oh, I'm not going to copy because one thing I know for certain is he uses a couple of schmoes, and I'm not going for just right. I'm not going for a right result. I'm going for exact score. Yeah,
Exact.
exact score, dog. You heard it here first. This will be the exact roll up, exact right score. Whoop whoop. Okay.
Keeps them within a 4 in his mind.
That's where I keep them. Okay, so Arsenal v Villa. That is actually, you'll be astonished to learn, going to be Arsenal are going to win that by 3-1. Now, Chelsea v Norwich. I'm going to say that's, I'm using my psychic powers now. It's 5-0 to Chelsea, even though they do play quite conservatively. Crystal Palace versus Newcastle United. No, they're quite good. I say that's going to be a 3... Oh no, what if they change manager? What if they change manager in the read time and get a manager bounce?
Who do?
Yeah, but they're the same players.
Newcastle, yeah, but they get the mount. They'll get the bounce, phlegm gob. They'll get a bounce, won't
I don't
they?
like this new Russell.
You like him?
No.
Oh.
It's because he's had a wee. He's extra
Oh, so I
confident.
was relieved. It went on for so long. I
know
was
it did.
amazed by it. I was amazed by
Come on.
myself. Okay, Palace. Hold on. Are Newcastle going to get rid? Is it going to be Eddie Howe's Newcastle by then?
Let's pretend it is.
All right. Let's say that Newcastle are going to win 2-0. Away win. Come on, Russ. You can do this. Right. Everton v Watford. Old Russ says that Everton will beat Watford by. It's just a 1-0 win. As simple as that. Now, what about you, Gal? You've had all this time. I've been doing all this
Wait, we
rubbish.
did Everton Watford,
I'm on
didn't we?
Everton Watford. No, I haven't
Did you
done
not
mine.
write it in, but I said it to you.
No, we've done yours.
Yeah, yours
Jen.
is in,
Okay.
Jen. You can't, Jenny.
Don't worry.
Since you've been in this league, Jen, you've really been a bit... This is why
I'm coming up
sexism
the back.
exists. Because you're being too aggressive to us.
2-0 Everton.
2-0 to the Toffees.
They got injuries there, haven't they?
See, we're all predicting it, so it's pointless. Leeds v Wolves. I say it's going to be a 2-2 draw. Now, what do you say?
1-0 Wolf.
Well, Wolf.
1-1.
You think there's only one wolf, Traoré? There's only
Yeah.
one wolf for this.
Can you
lady.
set me up with Traoré?
I'll try to, Jen,
Okay,
but I don't know
thanks.
if I can because he might be
You
married.
have-
They
you
marry
have
young.
power.
All right, I'll try.
Okay.
Now, Gal, what do you say?
2-1 Wolves.
That's 2. Make sure we know. Southampton versus Burnley. Hasenhüttl dressed up for Thanksgiving in a big, silly old, lovely old jumper versus Burnley. What do you think, Gal? Oh, it's my turn. I think 1-1. Now, what about you, Gal?
0-0.
You're going 0-0, Jen, go? Yeah, that's pretty quite a good prediction. Come on, Gal.
I'll do another Southampton win then. 1-0 Southampton.
I hope you're wrong. Now, Brighton v City, what do you think? It's me. It's what do I think? What do I think? I think it might be a... wait. I think it's 2-0 away win. What do you think? What, Jen?
3-1 City.
3-1. They're gonna. And what about you, Gal? Gal always goes last, so he gets the advantage. Even though you're in a different order, he's made himself last. He's studying it. He's looking down at it with his eyes like laser beams. It's awful.
I'll say.
He's taking it more seriously. He's playing like chess. I bet you play chess,
I'll
don't you?
say-
I bet you take too
I
long.
did as a kid. Yeah. I'll 1-0 City.
I don't like that one.
Nor do I. Brentford v Leicester. I think it's going to be a great game. This is going to be a great game, and the goals are going to be flying in at both ends. But what's this? A late goal from Lukaku, and it's 3-2.
4-2.
And you think 4-2 to Brentford or Leicester, darling?
Leicester.
4-2 away win. Well done. See. Now, what about you? Oh, you can't keep staring at it like the answer's going to emerge. He's looking at it like a crystal ball.
2-2.
If it is 2-2, I'm going to be so angry with you.
I know.
West Ham v Spurs. Oh, when I'm doing a gig in Dartford. Isn't that mental? Why would a person do a gig in Dartford when it's West Ham Tottenham?
Go.
Okay, come on, West Ham. You've got to win this. And that's why I'm predicting that West Ham will win this. I think we'll get 1-0 win against Tottenham.
I was going to say 1-0.
All right, you can say 1-0, Jen. I'm not like Gareth or taking it like I'd rather die than not be top of the league.
I mean, I have to say something. I have to say something different.
Go on. Why don't you say Tottenham will win? Why don't you say Harry Kane will score one of them sort of little, like a dinking run from a ball over the top and he chips it in past Fabianski? Go on. Go on, Gal.
It's a tricky one, this one. I'll say 1-1 just to say something.
1-1. Okay.
And what about saying it like you're going to pick the same as us?
Yeah, I think it's more interesting.
To give yourself a
it's more interesting.
He is going to give himself an advantage. He's played this very tactically. Yeah. He's making fools of us, Jen. Now, Man United versus Liverpool.
Oh, wow.
That's what an exciting fixture. I hope I'm home to watch it. Now, I feel like obviously Liverpool are playing brilliantly and United are falling apart, but they get up for it, don't they?
That's the thing.
They get up for it.
Form goes out the window for these games, doesn't it?
What are you saying? 2-2?
Oh, it's yours first.
I'm going 2-2.
Oh, no. Okay, fine, 2-1.
2 who? Man United or Liverpool?
No, Liverpool.
2-1 away. And what are you saying, Gal?
God.
It might be low scoring, really, if you think about it.
Yeah, I'm going to say... I'm going to say 0-0.
It better not be.
I know, but they often do disappoint these big
Gal,
games.
if you're right, I'd like to... Jen, I think we should play back these little moments when... If someone's actually right... because then Gal can remember how cross I was. All right, so that's our predictions and that's our league table. Why don't you join in at home with this game that, anyone can do that. So remember to give us your reviews. Remember, let us know who you want to have as a guest on the show. I hope you enjoyed John Barnes. If you want to write to us, you can reach us on, sign up to our mailing list at russellbrand.com. And you'll get weekly bulletins about what I'm up to. And you can email me at hello@russellbrand with your football-related inquiries. Always use the hashtag #footballisnice if you want to see me live, particularly in Reading. I'm appearing in Reading on the 15th of November, 6 p.m, not a moment after. Otherwise, you'll be made to wait out in the foyer in the cold until the bit where Gandhi gets his hair cut, which is a very good bit of the film. He doesn't actually, he just turns up and he's added it. But there's a bit at the beginning where it's Gandhi in a suit, like in the film. All right, so there's a review. Again, what are you thinking
I've got 2 little points that I haven't brought up.
Go and tell me in both, mate.
The one was...
Not everything's a prediction, Gal. You've become too obsessed.
One was, I don't know if you saw Shearer say cock out on Match of the Day.
Under what context?
Well, the context was one of Leeds' players is called Cock, and he was talking about all the Leeds players that are injured. So he had to go Bamford out, Cock out, and it was... I found it very amusing.
That's a great moment. Did anyone like to go?
No, they didn't. Although I thought surely the other two must have, Chappers especially.
Chappers with a sin of cock out in his time.
And the last one was, I thought we could end today.
Oh,
discussing dreams.
Why?
Because I don't know if you saw Broja, or Broha, or however it's pronounced, the Southampton lad who scored his first goal for his club, and he said he's been dreaming about it since he was 3.
I wasn't doing dreams at 3.
Scoring his first goal. I wonder what dream Russell Brand may have had since he was 3, or the dream that he's had most consistently through his entire life. And if he could neatly tie up this whole podcast and discussing dreams.
I'm in a house or some sort of establishment, and there are low doorways that are difficult to get into, and in through those doorways are revealed new spaces that were always present but that I was unaware of, that you can access through these low portals. I have this dream all the time. Different buildings, there's a door and you go through the door and oh wow man, this is amazing in here. I think some of it comes from the fact that my dad, when I used to go see him when I was a kid, lived in this flat, and he lived in the upstairs flat at first, which was all really, really nice. And he owned the one downstairs also. But then something must have happened economically, because he moved down to downstairs flat. Downstairs flat, not nice. Don't like downstairs flat. Cardboard boxes in downstairs flat. While someone else lived in upstairs flat. So that's my little dream.
Apologies. I thought he was going to do a neat little tie.
Oh, I see. Okay. All right. I have a dream.
There we go.
Much like John Barnes and Martin Luther King, I have a dream where we address... All my dreams are risky.
I had a dream about you, about doorways in it.
Go on, what happened, Jen?
We were both running through loads of doors.
We were both running through loads of doors.
And they were
Jen's
slamming
dream's
behind
like a mouse's
us.
dream.
They were slamming behind us. I think someone was chasing us with a knife, but
Probably Gareth.
This dream thing hasn't worked out. I thought,
What's your dream?
no, I just thought you'd do something that
Ties
kind
everything
of
up.
brandism, that something that can unite us all in this moment, can give us hope and excitement for the week ahead. In football terms, in life terms.
My dream is that football is the perfect palette for us to express our individual and collective dreams. That if a player like John Barnes can speak so gracefully, eloquently, with such nuance about a subject like race, but still optimistically, if individuals like John Barnes and John Barnes' father and John's sisters and cousins can go out and make something of their lives in spite of some cultural inflections that might have made that harder, then surely all of us can use the game of football to become our best selves. Look at the beautiful sides of the beautiful game. Acknowledge the painful sides of the most popular sport in the world. But remember above all else that football is nice.
There we go.
Finally. But probably by now we're all going to have to go to jail for that weird dream.
Yeah.
All right, thanks everyone.
Thanks.
Thanks.